on for 32, almost 33 years. It's a great company. We've built it from 10 people not all that long ago to 32 people today. We continue to grow. We're hiring people all the time. If there's one thing that I could do, like before my time is up at Chapman, it is making sure that we've built a company that will stand the test of time. And my goal as the current owner of the company, or one of the owners of the company, is to ensure that we can pass the ownership of the organization on to the next generation of people coming up the ranks today. One area of our business where we impact the local communities pretty heavily is the school systems. So we work for school systems all over the northern part of the state of New Jersey. We operate their water systems, their wastewater systems. We do a lot of their permitting and compliance work, and we ensure that the water that the kids drink is clean. We go out and do the sampling to ensure that it's not contaminated. And we also treat the wastewater that's being generated at a lot of these facilities as well before it gets discharged to the environment. So we are supporting the local community through supporting the boards of education and the local school systems.
All About Bugs Tennessee Pest and Termite Control is all about family too. Our family-owned business has successfully been in operation in Sevierville and surrounding areas for almost a decade. Especially during these times, a pest-free home is necessary for a sustainable, disease-free home or business. Our services include residential, rental, commercial, hotel, motel, cabins, you name it. Free quotes and inspections for new customers, and most of our services are contract-free. Our All About Bugs Tennessee family is devoted to delivering the best possible pest control service with a friendly smile. Contact us at 865-453-5574 today.
If it's bugging you, you should be bugging us.
This one is for the 343, for the first responders who sacrificed their lives, for the memory and healing from events 23 years ago, September 11th, 2001. From the Atlanta Motor Speedway, it's the Chapman Environmental Services Cup Series, presented by Racing Revolution. I'm your host and producer, Morgan Cook, and alongside me tonight is Alex Gagnon. We are here on V-Speed.
And it is time for the first race of the playoffs here in the Chapman Environmental Services Cup Series, but obviously a lot more in the air tonight than simply the first race of the playoffs.
We welcome you to the Atlanta Motor Speedway for the Remember 343 presented by Blue Ridge Volunteer Fire Department. The Blue Ridge Volunteer Fire and Rescue Company is a fire department within the Blue Ridge Mountains of Northern Virginia. We proudly serve our community with our goal of neighbors helping neighbors. We are sponsoring this race tonight to honor those who made the ultimate sacrifice 23 years ago today, and to thank all current or past first responders and military for the sacrifices that they make. So thank you for sponsoring this race tonight. It means a lot, and this is an interesting broadcast. Obviously, a somber note, but it's going to be a good show here at Atlanta tonight. I have no doubt about that. And as Alex mentioned, this is the first race of the playoffs. So let's have a look at the points. The field is set. The final 16 drivers have their task. Race 1 of the round of 16 is for extending leads and erasing deficits. The points look like this. Jeremy Burns, Rob Rader dominated the regular season. They have a commanding points lead over the rest of the field that you can see on your screen. Notice that cut line, that big red one. 4 up from the bottom. Parker Johnson, Tyler Harrison, Justice Murphy, Kevin Orlando Jr. need a good run tonight to get to the other side of that cut line.
And the one thing you can really tell with this is that Jeremy Burns, Rob Rader have put themselves in a really good position here coming into the playoffs, both of them well above that cut line. Really, though, from third on back, it is anybody's race, and as at a track as volatile as the new Atlanta Motor Speedway is, it is going to be all the more critical to keep a good, clean race out there tonight and finish up at the front and get as many points as you can get your hands on.
That's right. This racetrack, basically a Daytona Talladega style race, unpredictable. You have no idea what is going to happen here at this 28 degrees of banking racetrack, 40 feet wide. It is a narrow one, and we're going to see a great race tonight. I am sure of it. Race analysis quickly before we go live here. Go green to the grid. 130 laps, 45 miles an hour on pit road. You will be entering pit road on the backstretch, I believe, here tonight. 5 tire sets available. 3 green, white checkers, and importantly, a fast repair for these drivers as well. Stage on lap 30. But of course, we have to talk about our Coastal Financial Pole Award winner. That driver's Travis Gilbert. Congratulations to the driver of the 22. Been fast all season. Our mission at Coastal Financial is to provide comprehensive financial planning solutions tailored to each individual's unique needs and goals, with the aim of empowering our clients to make informed financial decisions and achieve their financial potential. You can find us at coastalfinancial.com or on Facebook at Coastal Financial. And once again, thank you for being the full season sponsor of the Coastal Financial Pole Award. But let's get down to the grid. Starting on the pole, Travis Gilbert, as we mentioned. Kyle Diaz, the teammate, going to start alongside in second. Third position belongs to the 9 of Jeremy Burns. Matt Robinson will start in fourth. Fifth position, Caleb Gilbert in a new look, 54 this week. Inverse that number, 45, Tyler Harrison will start sixth. Seventh position, Michael Call in the 89. Alex Forget is going to start in eighth. Rounding out your top 10, Nick Alves and Joe Joya in the 17.
Back in row 6, it is Kevin Orlando Jr., Rob Rader, tis his outside, both playoff drivers with some work to do tonight. Row 7, Trevor Erhardt and Jacob Sirkovich. Trevor Keith and Al Likens compose row 8. Row 9 tonight, Parker Johnston, Devin Hudgens, with row 10 being the Candyman, Daniel Holloway, and Tay McDonald.
Starting 21st tonight, Carter Linz in the 66. Grant Turner will start 22nd. 23rd, Dylan Picklesheimer, Christian Bresnock alongside in 24th. 25th, Justice Murphy in the 12. Grant Thorpe starts 26th. 27th, Jackson McGeorge in the 98. 28th will be Christopher Schaefer. 29th, Chris Nail in the 88. Christopher Berger starts 30th. I'll get the last two for you, Alex. Starting 31st. There we go. James Loveland in the 02. Brandon Richardson will start 32nd. The field is rolling through turns 3 and 4 for a final pace lap. Pace car should make that hard left-hand turn here. Just a second. Green flag is out here at Atlanta. Give lap 1 to the 22.
I don't know if he'll get that second lap, though. Jeremy Burns looks to the inside. The 22 of Gilbert moves up high to block Diaz, and now Burns to the point with Caleb Gilbert and Michael Call following in his stead. 3-car breakaway on that bottom side, clears that top lane. First battle side by side is the one for 4th between Nick Alves and Travis Gilbert.
And you saw one little mistake, and it happened so fast. Lost 3 spots here in the tri-oval. A little bit too wide, trying to block that outside lane. Burns had the run, and obviously he now is fighting for 4th, that being Travis Gilbert in the 22. It's going to happen all night long, so fast the runs develop and the runs fail here at Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta's unique as far as super speedway style racing is concerned. While you do have still a lot of that throttle down, just absolutely send it like you would a Daytona or Talladega, because this is a mile shorter, you do have a little more ebb and flow as far as having to get out of the throttle and back onto it, which can create some massive runs down the straightaway if someone has to check up to avoid sliding up the track here. And you see a lot more of a pronounced accordion effect than you would at a Daytona or Talladega here in Atlanta. And sometimes it can be a bit dangerous, but sometimes it can be the most exciting style of restrictor plate racing that we've seen at any of these restrictor plate tracks.
And you can hear Alex as he goes into turn 1 here, be off the throttle right there to avoid running to the back of the 15, but also to avoid hurting that right front tire too much, because that is a factor here. You are going to have handling issues at some point in this race as the lead has moved up to the top. How about 3 wide? 2 wide now for the lead. As Travis Gilbert says, no, I'm taking that lead back, Mr. Burns. You may be leading the points, but I'm leading the race.
Yeah, he tried jumping up in front of Burns there. Burns still had a nose far enough ahead to keep him from sliding up.
And 6 laps
Burns
in,
now leads on the outside.
I don't know which lane is preferred. Burns took the lead on the bottom. Now the top seems to be surging a little bit. I'm not sure where the speed is, but you got teammates on the top. I'm not sure if Paul is a teammate to the 22 on the bottom. But regardless, drivers working well together early at Atlanta as the entire field is in the shot. Save for this driver, Brandon Richardson, who is off the pace, about 5.5 back in the number 8.
It's still early, though, and we do know that that stage has to come up before long, so that might be able to be something that can help the 8 out here in his predicament. Meanwhile, back up front, Travis Gilbert, Jeremy Burns running side by side for the lead. Call and Caleb Gilbert running side by side in that second row. Caleb Gilbert has been glued to the back bumper of the 9 since the drop of the green flag here. Michael Call went with them initially, but now has found his friend there with Travis Gilbert as they run that inside. As things have gotten really stratified behind him, Forget has lost a ton of ground.
The issue for the 19, let's see if we can figure out what it was that caused that. I think he just pulled, oh, somebody had an issue there into turn 1. We're going to see it right here. Front of the 19. Oh yeah, he got to the side of the 15, who had a phenomenal save. Or is that out of the gas to get out of the way? And that happens here so often.
It really does, and everyone there lucky that that didn't escalate to something bigger. Anytime cars start getting off balance on the apron, it can start getting really precarious, but they all kept that thing anchored down, kept it pointing the right direction. And we stay green as we make our way on the lap 10. Burns and Travis Gilbert still controlling the lines up at the front. Everybody still 2 by 2 behind them, but there is a little bit of movement throughout the field, shuffling around, and cars starting to gain or lose positions because of it.
Yeah, we have a bit of a gap back here to the second group, led by those 2 silver and black cars. Exactly the same paint scheme, just the blue and the orange is different. Looking like some Roush cars of previous days. That Schaefer and Berger lead in each of those lines respectively, but they are losing time very quickly to the lead group. They're about 1.1 seconds back, and that gap is growing ever so slightly.
Yeah, right now they have a good amount of cars that could try and group up to get back to this lead pack. Just does not seem to be working at this moment in time, as this lead group is still about 25 cars strong or so. And you see right now, both of Travis Gilbert and Jeremy Burns very content to be up at the front of their respective lines. They're not really making a huge push to try and overtake one another at the moment. They've kind of just settled into a rhythm with their respective line and their respective pushing partners. Caleb Gilbert has been a big help to the 9 so far, keeping them up front. Meanwhile, down low, it's Michael Call who's been glued to the back bumper of Travis Gilbert ever since the 9 and the 54 went up to the high side on lap 4.
And they've stayed there ever since, and they've led almost every lap since then, has Jeremy Burns. This racetrack, Atlanta Motor Speedway, still has some characteristics of the old, namely that massive run you can get off the top side in turn 4 down to the start-finish line. We've seen it for quite a few of these laps here where Burns comes out of turn 4, not the leader, comes back to the start-finish line as the leader. We might see it again right here. Huge surge from the top side. As the lines are starting to break apart a little bit, 15 laps in, 13 laps into the run, something somewhere in there, will about be where the tires start to show their age, where you start to have issues handling. You can see the 53 is popped a fair bit out of line in the corner. Maybe just trying to get some air on the nose and turn the car a little bit better. Never seen anyone run as high as him to this point in the race.
Yeah, he's about a half lane higher than the rest of the group there on the high side, and then tucks back in when they all get settled. And this is that point in the race when you mentioned when the tires start to fall off a little bit, that's where we start to see the real drastic accordion effect of cars starting to generate runs. Because you might have cars who are handling bad, have to get out of the throttle to make the corner. Meanwhile, cars behind them get that run because it is a draft-heavy track like another restrictor plate and can just absolutely run up to the back bumper. And I have a feeling we'll see a little bit more of that as this continues. You can see the line starting to get a little more strewn about as they go off of turn 4 there. Everyone kind of snaking around that tri-oval and back into 1 and 2.
You'll also notice that the two groups are now one group. The little group of 8 cars or so has joined the main pack. Only 2 drivers not involved in this scrum. Alex Forget, who is 16, now 17 seconds behind the leader, and right behind him, Brendan Richardson has made no ground since the drop of the green flag. Squirrely in the back. Saw a massive moment, 3 wide to the tri-oval. I believe that was Grant Turner as one of those cars, and potentially the 15 also involved in that. They keep it pointed the right direction, but look at these lines, how uncoordinated they are and how much they snake back and forth and how easy it would be for one driver to make a mistake here, especially out of turn 4.
Yeah, and you see everyone starting to spread out again through those corners. Every lap, the handling goes away just a little bit more on these race cars. And when you try to run in a big pack like this, sometimes you start running out of room. Doesn't seem to be affecting the leaders too bad here, but for every car that you go back in line, as they continue to try and stay in line with the car in front of them, they'll get more and more fanned out. And it becomes that much more difficult once you're about 6, 7+ rows into the field to try and keep a bead on the car in front of you because everything just starts snaking down the straightaways.
What's interesting about Atlanta versus a Daytona or Talladega is because handling is a factor. If you get a group of 5 cars or so, you can run away from a pack if you can get single filed out. You can run kind of a diamond line where you enter low, slide up the hill to not hurt the tires, and then drive straight off the corner, almost like a dirt track. But you're going so fast, and you're hooked up to each other, and you don't have to lift as much. You can drive away from the field, and we're kind of seeing that top line be able to run that higher lane, pinch the bottom down, and it's hurting the tire wear on the 22 and to an extent everyone else down there in that line.
Yeah, Diaz going to take a run here from the inside. He was 3rd in line up high till last time around. He decides to drop in front of the 22 with Travis Gilbert, and he'll try and take the lead away from the 9. Kyle Diaz on the low side, Jeremy Burns up high, side by side off of turn 4, and basically a dead heat at the line here as they make their way on to lap 21.
Yeah, I think Burns got him in that case, but that very well could be what the finish looks like. We've already seen that exact situation crossing the line at least 4 or 5 times here tonight. We're only 21 laps in, 130 lap race here. The stage, that's only about 10 laps away. So business is only going to pick up from here, and the tire wear is only going to get worse. No sense in doing a through the field since you can see all of them on your screen right now.
Yeah.
If you need to know where your favorite driver is, you should be able to pick their car out from here. It's pretty impressive how all the drivers able to hang with this pack. Obviously, Forget and Richardson had the issues early on. Those two excluded from this group, but they will get back here. They will not go a lap down unless something crazy happens. But they'll be back in this group here in about 8 laps or so.
And as we're watching this unfold at the front, one car in particular, I feel like it'd be good to highlight on a night like tonight would be the 27 of Kevin Orlando Jr. Different paint for tonight in honor of those who had to make the ultimate sacrifice. That 27 machine started back in, or just outside the top 10. Still rolling around there, but that is a tribute that he is paying to first responders here tonight, and going to try and do him proud with a quality run and maybe his first win of the season.
Yeah, there's a few out here tonight. 17 as well. Never forget on the back of that machine, as well as the 12. There, right to his outside, conveniently. As well as the 41, I believe, was the other patriotic scheme I had saw earlier.
I believe
the show.
The 8 as well was the other one that had jumped out to me, but they're obviously a bit farther back in the field, or maybe it's on the hood there for the 8. But
quite possible. We still have a battle for the lead up front here. Burns on the top, Diaz on the bottom. Couple sets of teammates trying to make sure their team runs better to the stage here, get those extra points. You know, the 26 not in the playoffs. You can tell by the yellow spoilers and yellow banners on the top of the windshield. See Burns and Gilbert have them. Both Gilberts at the front of the field. Michael Call as well due to one of his wins, or his win this season in one of the races. But you definitely want to win the first stage of the playoffs. It sets the tone. If you're Burns, it gets you very close to clinching after 1 week. If you're anybody else, gets you closer to Burns, which has been a difficult feat all season. If you've been around following this league the entire year, you know that Burns and Raider have really dominated the entire events, like all the events throughout the entire season. So
big move from Raider there. He's worked his way up now to the first car on the inside, but that was a tight moment there between him and the 26 of Kyle Diaz. But now the two cars who are leading the points are leading their respective lines off of turn 4.
And that's 3 Element X teammates running in the top 3. So you think they didn't practice this and prepare for this? They're ready, and they're showing that they're ready for these playoffs here at Atlanta.
One more thing about the what you were talking about earlier with the stage win for the first race of the playoffs, how critical that can be for your momentum. It also could be a potential, real points in the bank situation if you do have an issue later in this race. This could be a quality bit of points to salvage your day, even if you get a DNF. You know, getting some stage points will help soften the blow of that slightly and keep you in contention over the next 2 races of this round.
Absolutely will. That's a great point. And where one person gains stage points, one person is going to not get stage points if you're up in the top 16. There's only 10 points paying positions and 16 drivers, so mathematically, obviously, not everyone's going to get a share of that pie, so to speak. So you need to mitigate the damage with the rest of the race if you can't get stage points in this first stage, because that's going to put you in a hole early in the playoffs. This will be the white flag lap of the stage. Burns leads, Gilbert second, Raider and Robinson battle for third. We got a car back there in the wall. That's Johnston with a T in the 48. Gilbert stuck in the middle.
Here goes Holloway down low.
The Candyman, he wants some. Not going to have the run though, and Burns is going to win the stage.
Jeremy Burns will win the stage. Caleb Gilbert, Matt Robinson, Rob Raider, and Al Likens all in the top 5 there.
What do you think? Time to chat with our stage winner?
I think that would be rather fitting.
All right, well, let's get him up here in the booth.
Alrighty. I can move him on in whenever you're ready.
Sounds good. Go ahead. Jeremy Burns, it's Morgan and Alex up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
All right, stage 1 winner. That's going to make the rest of the playoff field cringe a little bit, hearing your name at the top of a stage, top of a leaderboard once again. But how big is this for the rest of the playoffs?
It's very big, especially just trying to capitalize on these points early on to give ourselves more of a cushion. I already had a pretty big cushion just with the regular season championship, but being able to get an even bigger gap is great. And, you know, it's just more security going in. And now we actually have a playoff point to, you know, add on to the next rounds that we go to.
That is certainly going to help. Sure, are you pitting here? We'll stay silent
we'll be
while you do
pitting.
your pit stop here, then we'll pick you back up afterwards.
Alrighty.
Just put him in a different chat while we talk about this pit stop here. I don't want to mess up one of the competitors while they're trying to do their pit stop. That's it's not exactly fair game here.
Yeah.
But down the
But
pit
that
lane.
being said,
Go ahead, Alex.
I was going to say, that being said, looks like it's going to be clean into the box for the 9. Left or right sides up, then drop left sides go up on that car as well. And now the race off of pit road begins. Here comes the wave.
You got
But
it.
it will be Jeremy Burns to win the race off of pit road.
See if you can find your favorite driver in this scrum. Looks like everyone's going to get out clean. No drama here. Off of the pit lane. So that is good news. Now let's get back to our interview with Mr. Burns.
Yes, sir.
All right, sorry about that, but great job on the pit stop. Came out of pit road first, so that's good news for you. Yeah, just tell us what's it going to take to stay up here for the rest of the race. 100 laps to go here at Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean, those tires actually started to wear on the top side, but I feel like the top side is so dominant. You know, the inside can hold there, but I think that you're going to try to take your run from the outside, shoot it to the inside, and slide job it to get up, you know, through 3 and 4. But overall, just trying to control the lanes up here. We got a lot of teammates up here, a lot of people working with us. So being able to, you know, use them efficiently and be able to control the lanes is going to be really key to our success here.
Right on, and before we get back racing here, how about a quick shout out for those of you, or for those who are pulling for you and supporting you out here tonight?
Yeah, just the whole fan club, really. My mom and dad, Josie, Stacy, my grandma, Miss Betsy, Chapman. We got our cars 1, 2, 3 right now, so that's awesome. But yeah, everybody else that supports the league, especially Blue Ridge tonight for, you know, honoring those that fell 23 years ago today. So definitely just a huge shout out to them for sponsoring tonight, and definitely feels good to get a stage win there.
Right on. Well, thank you for your time, Jeremy. We'll get you back up to your chat, and good luck the rest of the race.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That is your current leader and stage winner, Jeremy Burns.
And he's got a lot of friendly company up at the front of the field there, Morgan. Rob
Sure
Rader
does.
to his outside, and then Caleb Gilbert directly behind him. Element X well represented inside that front group.
A few drivers hit pit road a second time to top off with fuel. I see Thorpe, Bresnock, Forget in that group. I think they're thinking strategy to the end here. We might be close on fuel. Might be able to turn a 3-stop into a 2-stop or something of that nature with a little bit of fuel saving, a little bit extra fuel on board. So we'll have to pay attention to that for later in the race. But every driver hit pit road under this caution. Sets us up nicely for a 95 lap or so run to the checker. Field's going to roll into the restart zone. Burns the control car. He launches. Decent gap, 3 car lengths out in front of his teammates. See what happens when we get to turn 1. How does the group approach him? How easy is it to stay out front? He's going to go right back to the top side in front of his teammate, Rob. Mr. Rader, big push to the back. Give the lead to the 45 on the bottom. Getting a big push from the Candyman.
Looks like Caleb Gilbert will get his first lap lead of the evening. The 21 all in his mirror right now. Travis Gilbert just behind them. But the 54 of Caleb Gilbert going to inherit the lead here on the low side. We heard Burns say in the interview that the high side was the place to be, and lo and behold, the 54 will slide up the track there, going off of turn 2, just in front of his teammate. And now he'll try and control this race from the high side.
Teammates, now more importantly, all 3 Element X drivers. 1, 2, and 3 on the top side. Something massive just happened in the back of the field. That might have just been a blinking car, but I saw rubber flying everywhere. I think we are okay.
Yeah, I think it was just a very aggressive blinking car that iRacing didn't know how to process. I'm not seeing anything on my end, but it did look like, you know, smoke and tire rubber got launched into the air right as we cut away.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That was pretty wild. But here's on board, 24 machine of Nick Alvin running 15th. Just a bit of an idea of what it's like to run in a pack like this, especially with Atlanta. Nowhere to go. You're just, now you got a big lift for the top side having issues up at the front. Now they're 3 wide in front of you. This is not a great scene. The driver of the 24 is just trying to focus his way through it. You can see the eyes moving, trying to figure out where to be. Difficult here at Atlanta.
And that's the thing with Atlanta. They made this track wider than its initial variant, but it's still not as wide as a Daytona or Talladega. So trying to find some room to make your way up through the field, easier said than done.
Get that backwards, actually. They narrowed this one up. It used to be 60.
Oh, did they?
Now it's 40. Same width as Charlotte Motor Speedway. And Daytona,
well,
for that matter.
Yeah. I will reel that back in. I was mostly thinking Talladega and said, I have an idea, but, you know, if it's
That's
incorrect information, that is not the goal here in the booth. But, yeah, with it, yeah, there's still not a ton of room to maneuver, that much at least.
That is true.
Still true.
Absolutely, that is true. But new leader up the front, Daniel Holloway. I have not said that much of the season. See the rookie stripes on the back of that machine. But the kisses on the side. They are happy to be up at the front of the field. Missed the playoffs. See the black spoiler on his number 21 machine. But he's out here leading at Atlanta. And no better time to play spoiler than right now. Win the race and show the playoff field that they're glad you didn't make it in, because you're going to go out there and win the championship if you were in there. That's the only thing you can do as one of the numerous drivers to miss the playoffs, like the 21 was.
It also gives you plenty of bragging rights against the playoff field to be like, all right, yeah, you know, you guys might have put it together early in the season to compete for a championship, but the back end of the season is my time to shine. And right now we're seeing that up front with the 21 of Holloway. Also a couple names outside of the playoffs looking in there. I'm seeing the 1 of Matt Robinson, the 84 of Devin Hudgens. Couple of faces who are not always at the front of the field. Up there now is Michael Call down below the apron.
I believe that is a self-preservation maneuver by the 89. Like he's just trying to get out of line here, hop onto the back of this field, just like Diaz, same sort of deal. I don't know if Call got those stage points or not. I don't recall. The top side is starting.
I feel like there's a pun in there somewhere.
Well, it wasn't intentional.
Being Michael Call.
Was not intentional, but good point. Although I think he's actually lost the draft now. He has 2.5 back. Car with the blue nose right there. He's lost the draft. That is going to be disastrous for the 89. Christopher Berger is out of the race. In 32nd, he will finish in that position. Brandon Richardson is 1 lap down in 31st. Everyone else on the lead lap. Michael Call, the only other driver not in the draft, as we mentioned. The other 29 cars all racing in the pack. You can see them all on your screen right there. Top side, this is the biggest advantage it's had all night. And oh, big slide for Gilbert. Wow.
Yeah, I was wondering how long that line was going to be that far extended from the inside before someone made a break for it. Instead of someone making a break for it, it just nearly fell apart entirely. But Holloway will retain control of the point, but now that inside line right back up into the mix with Travis Gilbert and Devin Hudgens. Those two cars running side by side with Gilbert and Burns. They need Harrison to try and get up there with them to make it a 3-car tandem and try and have a run against Holloway. 21 more than content to try and control this race from the high side right now. It's worked to this point, and he has got a lot of really fast help behind him.
Yeah, 7 laps led so far. Make that 8 as they barrel off into turn number 1 here at Atlanta. Look at that field. Been side by side all day. I don't see why that would end now. Top 4 going to get single filed out. Robinson wants to make it the top 5. So 22 is going to fight back in the center. But again, this is about 15 laps since we went green in that range. This is where the tires start to not handle all that well. You're going to start getting tight. You're going to start getting loose. It's not going to drive well. So this is where you have to really be careful and buckle down as a driver to put your car in the right spot and not end up on the wrecker for the end of this race.
And you can see in the corner, Holloway inching a little bit more toward the middle in 1 and 2, trying to make sure he cut off any run from Caleb Gilbert. That time he stays high up against the wall. And we're on board here with the 53 of Rob Rader. And when you're in this drafting line, this is all you see. With how big these spoilers are, all you see is the back bumper of the car in front of you, and you just assume that there's more cars in front of them.
Yeah, you're just hoping they don't drive you into the wall, because you can't tell right here, where is the wall? Are you going to get there on the entrance? Are you going to tag it with the side of the car? And I've seen that happen a lot in Atlanta, where a car running the top side gets in the wall and falls like a rock. Then the top side overreacts to adjust to get into the bottom side, and you have a big wreck. It happens every Atlanta race that I've seen here. Hoping it doesn't happen here tonight.
We can certainly hope, but at that point, there is still over 80 laps to go in this one, and a plenty bit of tire fall off coming the way of these drivers if they stay out here on a nice long green flag run. And that will just make these lines become more and more inconsistent as you see them all shuffle their way through this quad oval. And things almost got a little tight there between Robinson and the 22 of Travis Gilbert. They nearly found each other. 22 going to pull back within a couple car lengths of the leader. Both lines having about an equal amount of momentum right now as far as number of cars in line. It's just that outside line seems to be the preferred lane right now. They're able to get a little bit more of a run off the corner. And lap over lap, you can see the advantage that gives them.
You can roll more throttle, and you can also use more track. On the bottom side, you can't really cross that seam, or else you're going to get up in somebody's way. But on the top side, you have 2/3 of the racetrack to work with. You got a lot of space up there. You can kind of, oh, we had an issue a little further back here. We are 3 wide, bouncing off each other, as Larry McReynolds would say. I think we're all going to get cleared and straightened out, but that is going to cause a little bit of a divide here in the group. Let's maybe go back here about a lap and figure out why this happened. I'm curious for myself. Back on the replay. So here we are all grouped up together. The 66 had a blinking issue, I believe. Oh, there it is. 29 got turned into the 66. Great saves all around. Likens in the outside wall, but yeah, just a bump gone wrong, and it shook up the back of the pack.
Unbelievable that no one spun from that. I mean, there was a couple cars full on sideways there in the middle of the corner, and yet we persist, and yet we carry on here. Lap 53, the only caution of the day to this point has been the stage caution.
We got damage on
a couple of close calls already.
Damage on the nose of the 19. That is not going to help. Right on board with the 66 here. Should be able to see off the rear bumper. There it is.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
Big old divot in the nose. That might have been where the contact with the 29 came from. But that is not helping a playoff driver. The 19, even though it doesn't have the yellow spoiler, I'm sure he'll get that for next week. Nudge, nudge. Running back here in the 18th position is Alex Forget. I believe definitely one of the lowest running of the playoff drivers. Grant Thorpe, I believe, is the lowest running. Or Michael Call, obviously with losing the draft, would be the lowest running playoff driver. He's hoping he can find a way to get back into this race. Also having some connection issues, as you can tell. That will not help his points whatsoever, having a near the bottom finish. A lot of drivers just hoping to make their way up to the front.
Oh, boy,
Big
they've
move.
all left Holloway out to dry.
Yes, they did. They got tired of following the 21. And they easily clear the 21.
They had about 4 or 5 cars of help that all went at once. Holloway's going to fall all the way back to about 7th here. He's fallen back to Picklesheimer,
They
who
are
now
bailing.
abandons and dives to the bottom. Everyone all of a sudden has decided that no one wants to play nice with the 21 of Daniel Holloway, or the 21 of Holloway, and he is just plummeting through this field, nearly out of the top 10 now, down to 8th.
Yeah, they must
He
have
still
saw
has
something.
a couple cars behind him, but
Must have saw something.
everyone, yeah.
They didn't like out of that 21. Sorry to cut you off there, Alex. And
No worries.
saw something they didn't like out of the 21 and said, we got to bail. Maybe too slow on the entry, maybe just a little too tight in the center, something like that. But obviously not what this trio wanted to see, as they made a beeline to the bottom. They're going to let Richardson for a second time here, put that 8-car 2 laps down here in mere moments. But also got to wonder, we got to be getting close to pitting time, I would think, here within probably the next 15 laps or so, 24 laps on this run. Field single files out for a good portion, and the 22 makes me eat my words. He dives it too wide on the outside of Raider.
Devin Hudgens has been very keen to stay glued to the back bumper of Travis Gilbert. Can't say I blame him. That 22 has
door
been
banging
looking
each other.
fast
Oh, they're
week
still
after
hitting
week.
each other.
Look at this.
What are we doing
Looks
here?
like they did not appreciate that. They are going all out here in 3 and 4. They must have hit each other about 5-6 times. Another bit of contact.
and there's
in the
damage
quad oval.
on the quarter pan, or on the fender of the 22 now. From all that damage, you'll see it from the driver of the 1 possibly. Let's see if you can see it from Matt Robinson here. You can see it, it's wrinkled there on that left front corner due to that contact with Raider. Kind of see it here as we get a little bit closer. You can see that big wrinkle right at the top of the wheel. That is going to hurt the aero of the 22. He will have trouble leading a line. That is something that the 22 did not want to happen. That is a disastrous result from just some casual contact, and then some extracurricular contact.
Yeah, once is casual. Anything more than twice, I think, would be considered a bit extracurricular, and I think they got up to 5 or 6 total before that was all said and done. But they have not been able to get away from each other. Gilbert and Raider still side by side across the line here. That is the battle for 3rd on track. But right now, there's no love lost between the two, clearly, with the way they were running each other a moment ago.
Absolutely no love lost, like you said, Alex. You can see the 1 car getting a little bit tight on the bottom, having trouble keeping it down, glued to that red and white line. 21 as well, maybe hurting the tires a little bit, or have the tires been hurt already, I guess would be a better way to say that. And we got Call getting lapped. That's going to put a damper on his race here tonight. And it's very difficult, there's that car in the wall, to pass a lap car here at Atlanta. There might not be a more difficult racetrack in terms of super speedways, just because of how narrow this racetrack is and how much the tires wear to get out of the way as a lap car.
And with how narrow it can be, those are some of the most tense moments on track, especially in moments like this. You just saw the entire field shuffle around.
Oh, big contact.
Oh, big bit of contact. Devin Hudgens got a massive piece of Caleb Gilbert. The 54 immediately got on the radio. I can't imagine he was given any compliments to the 84 there.
Yeah,
As they run back up to the back bumper of Travis Gilbert, who bailed on the 84 the moment he got clear. But boy, has it been spicy up at the front of the field the past 5-6 laps.
That's absolutely right. And I think all that was a case of not clearing the pusher at Daytona, Talladega, and Atlanta. That's something you have to do. If you get the big run, you have to make sure you clear the guy behind you. And there goes the 84 down to the bottom as expected. But that is going to really frustrate those drivers on those 3rd, 4th, and 5th drivers on the bottom. The Element X guys, all sponsored by Chapman Environmental Services. That's going to frustrate them dearly because they got used up. Oh, big slide for the 48 down in front.
Oh, they're still almost wrecking back there. The 23 is Schaefer. Got jostled around a bit by Grant Turner. What a complete bit of shuffling up at the front of the field here. A lot of cars holding on right now, just trying to keep themselves planted to the track with varying levels of success.
Speaking of Grant the Toes Turner. There he is. Running P6. Remember, he won at Talladega earlier this year, so he has the skills on these super speedway style racetracks. Currently showing it up here in the top 10. Remember, playoff driver, yellow banner on this 39 because of that Talladega win. So, and I think if he's going to get out of the first round, he has to have a very good day here. He has not shown much prowess. Why are we below the red and white line? We must be pitting.
I believe they're coming down pit road.
It's pitting
The
time.
whole chunk of inside line cars going to make their way down pit road. Look at everyone filing on down.
Oh, we're turning
That's
each
the-
other.
Oh, Gilbert's turned. Caleb Gilbert gets into Travis
Jeremy
Gilbert.
Burns
in
somehow
the
made it on
crash.
pit road. Wow.
More contact with Raider and Travis Gilbert.
That was
Wow.
wild. Drove right in the back of him. Crazy. You're back on the racetrack, pitting again here at the front of the field. One driver's
Turner
going to stay
gets
out.
around the 23 of Schaefer.
Ooh, don't want to be in the apron,
Oh,
Michael
oh.
Call. Big sideways for the 89.
Got a bit of the 48 of Parker Johnston as the rest of the field basically coming on down pit road. Kevin Orlando Jr. inherits the lead. Very few cars yet to make service here. I want to say that number is only about 9.
That 27 needs the points. Remember, he was the bottom driver in the graphic. All these drivers need points. Late commit. He made it to pit road. Nonetheless, the commitment line. Grant Thorpe also hitting pit road. These guys are rolling here. Going to get a decent amount of time, but let's catch back up with your lead group. Rob Raider leading it, I believe. Oh, Travis Gilbert, sorry. Leading the group. And look at the pass, all these cars. Major advantage to the 22. Is able to ride on board with the 8. Remember, we saw this very much like this at Daytona. Same drivers involved. Raider leading the big pack. Saw the 22 pushing his teammates at Daytona.
I find it fascinating that Travis Gilbert's linked up here with Brandon Richardson. Richardson not really been a part of the pack all night long. 2 laps down in 31st, but the only partner the 22's got out there right now.
Only partner he needs is just another car in front of him. And he is pulling away from the field. The gap is now 2.5. Sorry, 2.25. Getting a little smaller right now as the group starts to form. But this is very much like what we saw at Daytona a few weeks ago. And if you remember in that race, Travis Gilbert pushed too hard, blew the motor, about 10 to go, and set up the end of the race there, which controversial to say the least.
It was certainly something, but I'm also sure that the way that race ended, fresh in the minds of quite a few drivers out here. And we're looking at this. There's really 3 big chunks right now. There's Gilbert up front, Caleb Gilbert leading this 5-car breakaway, about a second and a half behind him, and then the rest of the field is about a second and a half behind them.
That's right. And yeah, that third group is from 7th spot all the way down to 24th spot. Surkovich has lost the draft, so has Al Likens. Michael Call is a lap down. Devin Hudgens had an issue on the pit stop. Remember, he came in as the leader.
Yeah.
Obviously, massive issues there for the 84. Christopher Schaefer's a lap down. Brendan Richardson is a lap down and about to go another if the 22 decides to peek out and go around him. Rob Raider has left the session. So that is major playoff implications for the driver of the 53 who came in second in the points, got some good stage points, but that is going to shake up the playoffs, certainly.
I do believe it was a connection issue for the 53. It seems like he has rejoined the session. Obviously, though, leaving it is going to drop him several laps down with not nearly enough time to make up that gap. So that is going to be a tough situation for the 53. Luckily for him, he did come into tonight with a lot of points, which will help soften the blow a little bit relative to that playoff cut line, but certainly not how Rob Raider wanted his night going. As you see, everyone's about to start meeting each other at the same time. The big pack is about to catch this 5-car breakaway, who's about to catch Travis Gilbert up at the front of the field. Everyone going to find each other in maybe a lap or two here.
This is going to be an interesting join As you can see just how much faster this group in the back is. And then they're obviously catching that leader very quickly as well. And they're also catching a lap car. This is like Russian nesting dolls at this point in time. This is about to get wild. This entire group's going to get stacked together.
Russian nesting dolls at over 180 miles an hour. Gilbert tries to jump in front of Caleb Gilbert. Travis and Caleb now 1-2. They are looking to get around Richardson while also snaking under the lap car of the 23 Schaefer.
Yeah, that is
They're
dangerous.
going to split the middle. That is not a place you'd want to be if you're running up at the front of the field. Lap cars down low, lap cars up high. Everyone on the lead lap trying to squeeze through the middle like a funnel.
Let's see how well they can do it. The pack has now gotten stalled, trying to work around these two lap cars. One at the bottom, one at the top. Oh, he turned him. He got in the back of him, but Tay McDonald with the second
save.
Great save of the day. How did he not spin that race car? My goodness.
I mean, we were right on board, and he took an absolute shot there. I think it was from the 48.
It was, yes. And they are
And
four
yet
wide back
somehow
here.
They continue.
We are moving and shaking, and this is some dangerous stuff. At this point in the race, Michael Call blinking on the bottom. That's not helping matters at all either. But just look at this.
Schaefer trapped on the high side, just trying to stay out of the way.
And now he's leading the high side.
Slowly. Yeah, I'm about to say he's just trying to let people funnel on through. Just unable to do so are a couple of cars. But boy, what a mess that was. I'm shocked that we got through that with no incidents. That was impressive.
And these drivers showing tonight, they know how to drive at Atlanta. 77 laps complete, one green flag pit stop in the books. Other than the stage, it has been clean and green to this point. 19 lead
Someone
changes.
got a piece of the wall in the back of the field.
Still
Car in
clean,
white.
still clean and green. The wall's green. Everything's fine. One caution for the stage. 19 lead changes. That's at the start-finish line, mind you, not around the racetrack. Couple Gilberts leading the show here. And the 8 car still not done. Neither is the 89. Couple lap cars trying to get their laps back the hard way, the good old-fashioned way. The Bill Elliott way, if you will, here at Atlanta.
Now, they've at least kept themselves in position to not go further laps down, but Richardson was already 1 lap down to begin with. So he is really in a situation where he's just trying not to go 2 laps down at this point. Everyone else who is on the lead lap trying to use him as a drafting partner, notably Kevin Orlando Jr. on the low side, currently running in 3rd.
And Rob Rader is about to
Up
get
top.
swallowed up by this group as well. Curious to see where the driver of the 53 goes. He tries to block the drivers on the bottom, he tries to block the drivers on the top, or if he just tries to get out of the way. This is going to be an interesting join here, absolutely. There's the driver right there, yellow spoiler and all. But this could be a turning point in this race with 50 laps to go.
Rader currently scored 4 laps down. It'll be 5 in just a moment here due to the connectivity issues that took him out of the race briefly. And here comes the field ready to swallow up the 53. Where does he go?
Right on the bottom. Richardson's going to move around him. And he's able to slide in and not really worry about, getting swallowed up in the pack here. That's an impressive job of having enough speed to stay the leader of the line.
So now the field being led by 3 cars, all not on the lead lap. It is Richardson, Rader, and Call. McDonald peeling on the line, I think because he was blinking pretty heavily those past couple laps. So the leader technically at the moment is Kevin Orlando Jr. there in that 3rd row, battling with Travis Gilbert. That's the battle for the lead. 3 cars off the lead lap are leading them into turn 1, though.
This is not the first time I've seen this week, even. Saw this in Via Sorel at Daytona. The last half of the race was dominated by lap cars, if you can believe it. At one point, the top 4 in the race, in the running order in the pack, were all a lap down or more. So this is not foreign here on V-Speed. But interesting nonetheless. This really shakes up what you do, and you can also save a lot of fuel if you're a leader right now. That's something you can't normally do. And so we're catching another lap car. That's Likens. What's it look like here?
I was about to say, everyone looks to go up and over Al Likens. Does Likens try and stay with the pack here and make it 4 cars?
He does.
Orlando Jr., though, not having any of it, he's going to try and send the 40 to the bottom, leave that low lane to the middle. Not exactly where he wants to be, but he got a great run on some of the other lap cars.
Oh, we're dooring each other. We're wrecking.
Sideways. Caleb Gilbert.
Oh, and we're plowing into each other.
Now they're wrecking on the front straightaway.
Oh,
Big
no.
contact for Nick Alves.
A lot of playoff drivers involved. The 41 was in it. We obviously saw the 54 involved. One faster pair for all these drivers, so this is not the end of the world. I don't think anyone's used a faster pair to this point, but we have to go back and diagnose the issue that happened here. So we saw it, Likens on the bottom, getting around the 8, and just not close enough to the bottom of the racetrack, I would say, for the 8. I don't think the 77 realized he was going to be there, and they just kind of net-coded into each other, but they would have had contact anyway, certainly, and unfortunately, a spin in front of the field is not what the doctor ordered for all these drivers.
In particular, rough break for Caleb Gilbert, who had put together a really, really solid race to this point. Was looking for win number 2 on the season and was running in the top 3 basically all night long. And then as Thorpe tries to clear the 8 of Richardson, everything just comes unglued here inside the top 10.
Yes, you saw it there. The 8, I think the 77 expected the 8 to be further down the racetrack. Nick Alves just nowhere to go. Rise up underneath the 54, and yeah, that's one of those deals where you just cannot avoid that if it falls in your lap, especially at this racetrack. I believe we are hitting the pit lane. Lead lap cars anyway. Yeah, good. The good news, we have faster pairs, so these cars should get fixed here, or at least to a point of raceability. And this puts us in kind of an awkward spot for the end of the race. I think we are just over the amount of laps required to make it to the end. I think we went about 34 on that run. We're sitting at just over 40 laps until the end. So this is interesting. This is awkward. And there's nothing better when it comes to strategy in a broadcast booth than not exactly knowing what to do if you're a driver. But what do you say? We ring up one of these drivers and see what they're thinking on strategy.
I think that is a really quality idea.
Let's go.
Looking here at the 27 of Kevin Orlando Jr. Let's see if I can pull
chat
him into the booth here
with our leader. Kevin Orlando Jr., Alex, and Morgan up in the booth. You got a copy?
Well, I do. How you doing tonight?
Doing quite well. Well, you are leading here with just over 40 laps to the finish of this race. What does the strategy look like? Can you make it to the end on fuel?
No, we definitely cannot make it to the end on fuel. So right now the strategy is to try to stay ahead of the mayhem. I'm hoping for a good time caution so we don't have to come down pit road under green again. I'd like to run this out clean, but one more good time caution could really help us stay where we need to be at the front of the end of the thing.
How short are you on fuel?
Somewhere around 3.5 gallons.
Copy that. Before we let you go back racing here, why don't you give us your shout-outs for this race here tonight?
For this one, this just goes out to the first responders on 9/11. Those we lost and those who made it out, those who are still suffering today. Today, being from New York, today's an important day for me, and this is all about them. So.
All right, Kevin, thank you for your time, and good luck the rest of the way.
All right, thank you.
OMT, right? OMT Racing?
Anyway, he's muted. He's focused.
Yeah. I moved him back to OMT. I'm pretty sure that is his team, and if not,
well, he'll sort it out from here
after the fact.
Yeah, he'll sort it out from here. Well, let's set the stage here. 40 to go, just over that number. 3.5 gallons short. I believe that equates to about 5 laps here, if I'm not mistaken.
You can save a bit here, more so than other tracks, but I don't know if you'll be able to save 5 laps.
I don't think so, but into the restart zone, really late launch, and that's going to stack up the entire field. But massive gap between second and third on the inside line. Not sure what happened to the 98, but that is free positions for the top lane if they choose. Grant Turner says, thank you very much. I will, in fact, take 2 extra spots. We got battle for the lead. 22 to the top side. He's going to get that spot, at least at this moment in time. See here, out of turn number 4. Another Atlanta run to the finish. Give Gilbert that lap lead. He's led a lot of them today.
Yeah, he has been really, really sharp so far tonight.
20
As
of them.
next time by, it'll be 40 laps to go. He's already led 20 tonight, and he's been inside the top 3 even longer with those amount of laps he's run side by side with the man behind him right now, Jeremy Burns. Those two were door-to-door most of the opening stage. Now find themselves nose to tail with 40 laps to go here from Atlanta. Travis Gilbert leading the high side, Kevin Orlando Jr. leading the low.
And we still have at least 1 pit stop remaining. Never know what could happen here at Atlanta. Racing Revolution, the Chapman Environmental Services Cup Series. Always puts on great racing. We've seen it all season long. Race 26, is that right? On the season? We had the count last week. I forgot what it was. Goodness gracious.
I do believe it is race 26 of the season.
Yeah, just been
Let me do a
phenomenal.
quick-
Phenomenal show all season long. While you do the math on that, I'll carry at the front of the field here. Kevin Orlando Jr. leads. We're Travis Gilbert, Jeremy Burns, side by side again. It's Matt Robinson, Grant Turner. Let's see what it's like running the bottom, leading the bottom.
It'll be race 25 of the season tonight.
25 of the season. Fantastic. There's a look at the driver of the 39. Driver we affectionately call Toes. Grant the Toes Turner as he races on the surface of the sun once again. Love the lights in the background.
As someone who is dialed in right now.
Yeah, he absolutely is. I think this is about the point where you're going to start to regret running the bottom so hard, especially if you're not up in the lead, like side by side with that 27, because this is really going to hurt the tires. You can see he is very quickly losing ground to the rest of the outside line.
Yeah, that outside line, though, has opened it up to such a gap. You got to wonder who will be the first car to try their luck, drop down to the inside and try and generate a run on this lead group. It'll only stay that wide for so long before some cars start thinking about the positions they could gain if they switch lanes. But Orlando Jr. in control up front right now. Travis Gilbert, Jeremy Burns, Matt Robinson, and Parker Johnston, your top 5 as they run. Of those 5 cars, 4 of them playoff drivers.
And let's not forget,
a couple of them with some super speedway wins.
As a playoff, or if you're in the playoffs and you win today, automatic berth into the round of 12 starts in a few weeks' time. So this is a big race, especially if you're not good at it at Watkins Glen, which is next week, or Bristol the week after that too. Oh, we got a slide, big spin.
He got into Trevor Keith. Both of them went way into the infield. Looks like they're both going to keep that car pointed the right direction.
Phenomenal.
Not sure how they managed that.
Absolutely phenomenal driving by these guys. Let's go back and watch that one again. It's worth it. You saw Forget just got in the back of the O2. We'll catch up here. We're on the backstretch right now, but Forget just a bad bump through that quad oval. Got the O2 big time out of shape. Hit the 15 square in the door. You're going to see it right here. Yeah, just caught him way too far to the left. And just
what a save by both of those guys.
Crazy driving. Absolute wheelman out here.
How many, like, obviously there has been the one big wreck tonight, but there have been 3 or 4 what should be wrecks in almost, I feel like, any other series that just have not been tonight.
I mean, this driver's had 3 or 4 on his own. Tay McDonald, this who's been turned sideways so many times tonight. You can see the scrapes on the side of that 29. Echo Fasteners, was that Ford Mustang? Running
Yes,
here
sir.
22nd, and yeah, he's just he has been a pinball tonight, but somehow keeping it pointed the right direction and somehow part of the lead group still.
And he would honestly be probably running up even further if he didn't drop out of line about 10, 20 laps ago for those connection issues he was having. He's been running up toward the front a good bit of the night in spite of the fact he's almost gotten looped around twice.
Yeah, good speed in that 29. Oh, he always shows up, right? That's something that we always have to say. He's always fast everywhere that we go. Just the luck has been terrible this season for Tay McDonald. He made it on points. I believe he was 4th in the point standings, but no wins to show for it this year. Would love to turn that around here in the playoffs tonight. Would be a great statement win for the driver of the 29. But for now, he's got to pass a bunch of cars, and none looking more in control than the 27 of Kevin Orlando Jr., who leads the outside line. Now Travis Gilbert says, I want to lead more laps. To the bottom he goes. Front of Grant Turner. This field kind of separates there. Middle of 3 and 4, and that's going to hurt the inside line a little bit here. As Bresnock is way off his teammate.
There's a massive gap between McGeorge and Bresnock there. And I think Gilbert, realizing all the momentum was about to be gone from the inside, slid up in front of the 27. 39 of Grant Turner doing a pretty valiant job staying with him, but you see that's where that lack of draft support behind him was really kicking in. They get down the straightaway, and Turner lost a ton of ground with that gap from Bresnock to McGeorge. Now they're kind of bunched up a little bit better here, and now you'll see they'll have a slightly better run, I believe, going into 1 and 2 here. But that outside line dialed in right now, all those guys nose to tail, pushing Travis Gilbert out front. Kevin Orlando Jr. was leading a good bit of this past few laps, now currently scored in P3, because here comes Grant Turner back on the inside.
And on a point back to talking about the gap, it still exists between the 00 and the 98. The most important car in these next-gen cars when it comes to drafting is this third car. If you can get right up on that Camaro logo and just stick the nose right there, but don't touch the driver of the 98, you can gain a lot of speed, because then the second car in line is able to kind of pop the bubble and get right up on the back bumper of the lead car, and you guys can go much faster. But if you're a car length or 2 or 3 off, you're really going to struggle to get any kind of momentum built up, especially on the bottom, especially at Atlanta with the lifting that's already going on and the tire wear and all that. You definitely need to be closer if you want to give your line a shot at winning this race.
Yeah, and you see now Turner with a great run through 1 and 2. He got a nose ahead of Travis Gilbert there. Big side draft, though. Going to make the 39 fall out of the throttle just a hair. And the 22 will regain control, but we've got ourselves a bit of a duel for the lead here. Travis Gilbert, Grant Turner, 2 playoff drivers looking to lock themselves into the round of 12 here tonight in the opening race of the round of 16.
Remember, still one more pit stop to go, and that will come here in about, I would say, 10 laps or so, 10, 12 laps, which was going to put us for a dash to the finish. How much fuel do you take? Do you prepare for green-white checkers? If it's a stop under green, do you dare take tires? Is a fuel only? What do you do? Because if you don't take tires, you take right side tires, you fill it up all the way, it's going to be a huge difference on time. Could win you or lose you this race.
Yeah, it can completely change the complexion of things here. I honestly think we will see a lot of 2 tire stops, because I think to not take tires would be unwise with the amount of tire fall off that does happen here at Atlanta. But I think there'll be a lot of drivers who don't have the patience to try and wait for 4 or cars at the back of the field trying to get some track position when it matters most. So I think we'll see a lot of potential 2 tire calls out there. And then for fuel, I think we'll see some who try and get it to the line exactly, some who will try and bank on a couple of green-white checkers happening. It's going to be real interesting to see who does what All we know is that it might be starting right now as one of those cars peel out of line.
That's Rob
No
Rader.
one else has gone down there with him, though. So
Although
Rob Rader off the lead lap.
He was a wave around car as well, trying to get that lap back. Will not work out for him, pitting on his own. 34 laps on the run for that driver, leading me to think we have 13 laps left on this run. Nick Alves in that damaged 24 Coastal Financial Machine's going to pick the apron. You can see the nose smashed up from the damage. With the 53 on the front stretch, part of that big one that we had. As we're getting right down to it here. We're going to have to pit with under 10 laps to go. Or do you pit early? See if fresh tires make a difference. And you stay with a group of cars, obviously. You need a group of cars. But is that a move you could think if you have teammates around you? You peel off early. Maybe get 5 lap pressure tires for a dash to the finish if you can get five cars to go with you.
Whatever you do, you got to do it with somebody.
That's right. Need friends.
That is the only thing that is really the deciding factor. Is you can't do anything alone at a track like Atlanta. You need to have help on track, on pit road. You need someone with you. As Orlando Jr. now going to drop to the bottom, looks to take the lead away from Travis Gilbert.
He's going to have the nose off of the corner, but the run is too strong. Oh, off-center push, just about turned the 27 off the nose of Grant Turner. That could have been disastrous as there's 4 playoff drivers under a blanket leading this field. Jeremy Burns up there and joined the mix. A driver I want to mention, too, who's having a quietly solid run. How about that 48 Parker Johnston, the win your way in at Daytona driver. Super Speedway just a few weeks ago, running up here in the top 10, getting in a position to get those great points, even with the major nose damage on the 48.
Yeah, he's put together a pretty good run as far as the playoff driver is concerned. A couple of surprising faces up toward the front here as well. That's been a pleasure to see. The 00 of Christian Bresnock having a really good run. The 98 of Jackson McGeorge. The 17 of Joe Goya. A couple of cars we don't always get to see at the front of the field. Really still in contention here late as now Gilbert drops to the bottom.
Yeah,
Burns the high side.
Massive issue for the inside line down the front stretch. They lost a lot of momentum. Gilbert going to be able to clear easily. But look at the 9 and the 1 work on the top side of this racetrack. Able to get even and even a little bit past the 22. 1 might peek inside here. I'd be careful if I was Jeremy Burns. See the 12 switching lanes a little further back in the field, but we are getting down to the nitty-gritty here. Positioning for the pit stops. That's what we're doing right now. You want to be as far up at the front of the field as you can. 1, track position obviously is helpful if a caution comes out. 2, remember pit road entry last time. When Raider got into the back of the 22, if you don't have a driver in front of you, you can run whatever speed you want down pit road. We're 3 wide, not quite, is the 17 of Joe Joya. But if you're following somebody, there's a chance you run into the back of them, and that could be a disaster for a big group of cars if you spin on the apron up onto the racetrack.
A bunch of cars made their way to the bottom over the past lap or 2, trying to get themselves in position for what could be the final stop on pit road under green flag conditions. Burns leads over Robinson, Johnston, Travis Gilbert, Kevin Orlando Jr., your top 5, all of which running that inside lane. Burns and Robinson have been linked up all day long, and now they're starting to peel off down pit road. Here we go.
5 cars.
A whole bunch of takers.
I see 5, maybe 6 hitting the pit road this time. Forget's going to join as well. If they can be efficient.
Oh, the 48 got into the back of the 1.
Saw that. If they can be efficient, this might be the one that wins the race. Travis Gilbert still on the racetrack, leading the rest of the field. Grant Turner following along, but not efficient up at the front. They're hitting pit road as well. Can't stay out too long here. See how well they roll the apron. Turner up on the apron a little bit too much, probably more than he wanted. Jackson McGeorge is going to lead now, but they're too wide. Tay McDonald trying to lead a lap here for the first time tonight.
Got to imagine the rest of these cars try coming down pit road here while they still have a good size number.
I would think so. McDonald still having connection issues. Down the back stretch, there's another group. But not everyone. One driver to note, of course. Grant Thorpe, playoff driver, trying something different. Going to run this thing all the way out, I would think. But he's in a group of 3 with the teammates, Bresnock and McGeorge. Looking down the running order, Jeremy Burns right there. Too good of a pit stop. Him and Robinson together. Forget not too far behind. But these 2 drivers, this is not going to be efficient for them. They might get eaten up by the group, wherever that may be. Leaders on pit road.
Yeah, everyone else now making their way down pit road.
Diaz
Super curious to see how this is all going to shuffle out.
And there's a lonesome 22. That is disastrous. Although he would cycle out to be the leader if I'm not mistaken. Al Likens coming off pit road right here. We're passing most of these cars. Yeah, who's left? Loveland's on pit road. Bresnock, McGeorge on pit road. There's McDonald in front of him. Gonna have to draft with the 29 right here. This is your only hope of not getting annihilated by this group behind you. Look at this.
And it's being led by the 12 of Justice Murphy, a name we have not said a lot tonight, but he also gained a lot of track position on the previous green flag pit cycle, does it again here, and now is charging up to the back bumper of McDonald and Gilbert.
Well, watch this merge. This could get spicy. Those 3 cars just came off pit road. To the top side they go. Does the big pack. And look at the track position gain for the 77. Remember, he was back at the back of this pack. And now there's 2 groups. This pack here led by Tay McDonald. About to be led by Justice Murphy. And then a group farther back led by Kevin Orlando Jr., the previous leader. Something happened to this group. As Tay McDonald leads with 10 laps to go here at Atlanta.
What a gutsy victory it would be for Tay McDonald if he finds a way to get to victory lane tonight for the first time this year. After nearly getting spun twice, saving it both times, now finds himself in the catbird seat with 10 laps to go. A lot of really fast race cars behind him, though, as Travis Gilbert, Jeremy Burns, Matt Robinson, the 3 cars directly in his rearview mirror. Justice Murphy and Daniel Holloway holding down the low side right now. This is going to get real interesting as the laps continue to tick away. 9 laps to go now from Atlanta.
And look at all of the playoff drivers in this group as Burns goes to the inside. He wants to lead back. He wants to control this race. Is he going to get there? Top lane falling apart just a little bit. Not enough momentum for Burns. They're dead even down the backstretch. There comes the push. 4 cars, nose to tail. Going to get Burns clear by 1. Robinson right on the back bumper.
Back. The 54 of Caleb Gilbert back into the top 10 after getting spun only about 50 laps ago.
How about Alex Forget? Completely lost the draft. He is back up in the top 10. Playoff drivers all over the place.
Burns trying to block both lanes. Big shot in the back from McDonald.
That almost didn't work.
Burns
that was
blocking.
dangerous. We got 3 wide a little further back. McGeorge, aggressive move around Holloway. He made it work. Somehow made that car stick. I don't know how, but we're getting down here to the nitty gritty. 6 laps to go here at Atlanta.
This lead group, not all that many cars, only about 14 of them. The winner likely to come from someone in this top 14. Burns gets back around McDonald. Holds on to the lead here as they hit the line for 6 laps to go.
To add
McDonald
a wrinkle,
and Gilbert are, here they
This-
come. They have gotten themselves lined up really nicely.
this
and
group
are
is going to
making
get
up
there.
a ton of ground.
They're going to get there at the white flag. If the math stays the way that it is, they are running 3 to 4/10 faster a lap. It's going to be very close. What happens at the back of this field? What happens at the front of this field? We're door banging for second.
Robinson slid up the track, got a piece of Tay McDonald.
And
The
that killed the
29, though,
inside.
be denied.
The inside line is destroyed. There's 3 wide back there, 4 jets in the middle. Disaster
Going to
for
let
the
that
inside.
second group continue the makeup time.
Not only that, but that's all those drivers, it's going to take them at least 2 laps to get back wound up. And we're still 3 wide. 3 playoff drivers, 4 playoff drivers, in fact, somehow managing to go 3 wide. Bourgette's going to lose a lot of spots
dicey
here.
now.
It is absolutely dicey. The top 7 or so, single file out all the way back to Trevor Erhardt. Now we're 2 wide again. Robinson with a massive run.
And Justice Murphy's going to go with him. You can tell the desperation from those cars in the back of this lead group. Everyone fanning out, trying to make their move before they run out of time.
And look at Picklesheimer
Burns leads
running
this
5th.
4-car. Yeah, the 43, where did he come from tonight? He puts himself in position when the pay window opens.
4 playoff drivers, then 2 non-playoff drivers, and then a mixed bag from there on out. 3 laps to go from Atlanta. Down the backstretch. Burns leads the top side. 4 cars advantage they have over the inside. Burns, McDonald, and the 2 Gilberts. Nose to tail. Side drafting worked. Robinson got there. Then disappeared for a second, but he's back now.
2 laps to go. Jeremy Burns only has Tay McDonald in the mirror right now. Everyone else side by side for third on back.
And the
Burns
pack
came into
got
this race
there.
as the points leader. Will he continue
got a
that
slide
trend
back
after
here.
winning straight?
Big wreck.
Oh, the wrecking.
We're going to have a
Massive
green
wreck.
white
Erhardt
checker.
up and over McGeorge.
Playoff drivers involved. I believe that was Grant Turner as well. It was not Grant Turner. Oh, he just about got caught up in it anyway. It was Carter Linz that I saw originally. Let's look at the 41, though. That driver was up on top of another. Hopefully he's got a faster pair left. He does, in fact. But how did that happen? I saw McGeorge get sideways.
41 went up the hill.
Yeah,
You
just
see
a
this
big-
inside lane gets so checked up.
Yeah, double push
Harrison in
there.
the wall, and then it falls apart.
Orlando's in it. So is Lynn. So is Johnston,
So is
Erhardt.
Johnston and Erhardt.
A lot of drivers who are in the playoffs involved in this one. On the coming to the white flag. It's right on board with the 41. See if we can make some better sense of this. Here we go. Into 1. Remember, this happened kind of middle of the backstretch into 3, but maybe from the gyro cam, this will give us a better idea of what it's like to drive on top of another.
If you ever wanted to become a monster truck driver, Trevor Erhardt just did it.
Oh yeah.
Gee.
That's, yeah, when you're looking at the sky, yeah, that's not a good sign. That's a bad
Yeah.
day.
You should never be able to cloud count from the cockpit.
Absolutely right. Yes, cloud counting not advised at 180 into turn 3 here in Atlanta. But let's line it up for you. You don't have to pit unless maybe you didn't take enough fuel. That could be the potential for some of these drivers. We don't do interviews this time as we're getting right down to the end here. But Jeremy Burns leads 39 laps, and the race to this point, Tay McDonald in second with a few laps left. Caleb Gilbert led a couple handfuls. He is in third. Those are those 3 playoff drivers. Matt Robinson running in fourth, trying to play spoiler. So is Picklesheimer. Justice Murphy having a great run here. Up 19 spots from where he started running in sixth. Kyle Diaz trying to play spoiler. So is Holloway. Grant Thorpe having a solid run in that Dollar General machine. And Trevor Erhardt, who we just saw up in the air, currently scored in 10th. But you can see all the body panels not fitting together. He's going to lose the spot to Chris Nail. Not in the playoffs, but trying to have a solid run here in the 88. Other drivers in the field. Al Likens in the Pepsi machine. Great looking scheme. That one is. Tyler Harrison involved in the accident, but he's going to keep it on the racetrack. Joya, got Forget back here in 14th. Travis Gilbert. This brought a lot of drivers back into the race. Zirkovich, Orlando was involved in it. Parker Johnson was in it. Grant Turner and Trevor Keith, who's had a very quiet day here at Atlanta. That's your top 20 as they run.
And that is just about every car on the lead lap. Not too many more than that are. It is only about 24 or 25 cars. So Burns and Gilbert, they started this race up at the front. Then a lot of chaos happened, especially in the 54's case. And yet finds himself back in the hunt to win this race when it matters most. And boy, I mean, this just feels like a race. If anyone is going to upset a playoff driver, this feels like a day for a Matt Robinson or a Dylan Picklesheim or someone to make a major upset. I also think the 29, what a magical story it would be with the way his race has gone today if he finds a way.
The 12 as well hasn't had a win this year, made the playoffs.
Yeah.
Could also get that first win of the season, lock himself in, but we're going to find out here. Hopefully this is the last green-white checker, but into the restart zone, Burns the control car, his teammate to the inside. That's Gilbert. Not a great launch for the 12. Huge launch for the 9. This could get interesting here at Atlanta. The drag race
turns
for
1
second.
and 2 they go. Burns going to hold that outside. Here comes McDonald, looks to the inside, almost ran out of room. He's going to launch past Jeremy Burns. Everyone shuffling the 9 out.
The whole
Big wreck.
field's in it. Oh my
Massive
goodness.
wreck down the back straightaway.
Goodness
and they
gracious.
will rack them up to try this again, but look at the amount of cars they're still wrecking.
I think that's 80% of the field that was left running involved in that. We are going to use green-white checker attempt number 2. That all started with the 54, unfortunately having a great run, getting a lot of points. Not much to show for it at this moment in time. Let's go back and figure out how that happened on the backstretch. You see it right there. Picklesheimer pushed him out of line. Robinson tagged him. And then from there, it's on. I count 3, 4, 5 playoff drivers involved. 6. Yeah, 7. 8. Yes, that's half the playoff field. 9. There's the 15s around. Over half the playoff field involved in this accident one way or another. I want to see Michael Call's view of this. Playoff driver as well. So this is Michael Call. Big lane change here, trying to get some spots. Sees the smoke, and I'm not sure exactly where he thought he was going to go there, but he hit the 18 very hard, and that probably killed. Yeah, that car is destroyed.
Yeah, I mean, just it's tough. So many cars coming, and there's just nowhere to go.
Anyway, back here to the live shot. Yeah, that was. Although, with fast repairs, these things happen. But up the front, Tay McDonald. You're right. This would be Cinderella story-esque. Driver just about got spun twice. So
And
this
he
is
almost got collected there with Burns in that final, right before the final wreck. I mean, he dove under the 9. The two of them both nearly ran out of room.
This is the final attempt at a green-white checker, and I think we have fuel concerns on the 29. You only run that low on the racetrack if you're trying to save a little bit. You don't think you can quite make it. The 29 have to pit here for fuel. He does not. We're going to be choosing this time as well.
He is going to try and stretch this thing to the absolute limit. I have no doubt about that. Looking for win number 1. Yeah, it looks like, though, he is coasting this thing as much as he can at the moment. I jumped to his onboard, and it is
You can
drifting.
see the RPMs at 2,000 means no throttle applied whatsoever. In fact, the car is off right now. No, it can't be off, but oil pressure is 0. Now we're fired back up. Okay. Clutch was in. That's what it is. Okay. That's how cars work. Yes, you put the clutch in. Goodness gracious. But oil pressure, water pressure at 0. Saving all the fuel he can get here. Never claimed to be a
Gonna-
mechanic.
Yeah. You nor I. But I'm looking at this top group right now, right? And the thing that really fascinates me in this situation is obviously we have a couple playoff drivers in that top group: McDonald, Burns, Thorpe, Caleb Gilbert, Orlando Jr. But like, if you're a Dylan Picklesheimer or a Chris Nail, the opportunity to steal a win is right in front of you. How aggressive are they going to be here on this restart?
Yes.
Last attempt to try and finish this thing under green.
Yes, all of it. There isn't even a word for how aggressive you're going to be right now. Pace car is going to hit pit road. Tay McDonald, this time the control car on the bottom. 2 laps to go here at Atlanta. The side playoff race number 1. Huge jump for the 29. Burns going to fill the spot. Picklesheimer up to 3rd. Around the outside goes Burns. He's going to get the quarter. Where's Picklesheimer go? Going to follow the number 9. As we roll down the backstretch. For what could be the final time if we don't make it back to the white. How about 3 wide? Picklesheimer to the wall.
Sends up the hill.
We're wrecking
Everything
behind him.
condensing. Robinson wrecking behind. Will they take the green? They're wrecking more off of turn 4.
There's
the
the caution.
is out. And I think if that is the final green-white checkered attempt,
Tay
Tay
McDonald.
McDonald might take it.
That was the white flag pinned by Erhardt Holmes. Love where you live. But it belonged to Tay McDonald, who I believe is your winner. We're going to have to get an official count here. We got to get back to the flag. This race not technically official yet. Still have to cross the finish line. But I'm seeing final lap on timing and scoring. Burns somehow the leader. Not sure if Burns has won the race or if it was Tay McDonald. We're going to have to get
McDonald was ahead.
Is he out of
at
gas?
The time of caution.
No,
he still has a little bit of throttle in there, not much. But also, if the race ends under caution, I don't know if you need to actually maintain pace speed to get to the stripe.
I believe you do. I think you have to finish. I think you do have to cross the finish line in your position. Did Jeremy Burns just win this race? We're going to have to go back and find out here, folks. We are a little bit puzzled up here in the booth.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have a quick chat with race control and figure this one out.
See if we can go back here to the time of caution and figure out what happened. So this is a little before it. Let's go back to the final restart here. And we'll just watch kind of at the line, kind of where everything is. I think the final caution, that big crash.
As they hit the straightaway off of turn 4, there's a wreck in the top 10 that eventually brings out the yellow lights. Keep an eye, folks, for those lights on the side of the track. They're currently green. Watch when they go yellow. That'll be the time of caution.
Still green. Still green. Don't see any lights there, but I think Tay McDonald is your winner. In fact, that's what I'm seeing now. Burns
yeah,
back
now
to 23rd,
I'm seeing,
a lap down.
Unless he got black flagged for passing
under yellow. That could be it, too. I am all sorts of confused here. We're going to have to go
I don't know if I've ever seen a finish quite like this one.
I think we're going to have to go back to a commercial here, get an idea from race control, what happened, and then interview after that. I think is probably the way we're going to have to do this. This is a first here on V-Speed, not exactly knowing who won the race. This is interesting stuff, but we're going to hit a quick commercial break here, get this sorted out, and when we come back, we will have who your winner is. You've been watching Chapman Environmental Services Cup Series here at Atlanta, presented to you by the Blue Ridge Volunteer Fire Department in Virginia. Thank you for your service. All right, we'll be back right after this.
So Chapman's been around for 32, almost 33 years. It's a great company. We've built it from 10 people not all that long ago to 32 people today. We continue to grow. We're hiring people all the time. If there's one thing that I could do, like before my time is up at Chapman, it is making sure that we built a company that will stand the test of time. And My goal as the current owner of the company, or one of the owners of the company, is to ensure that we can pass the ownership of the organization on to the next generation of people coming up the ranks today. One area of our business where we impact the local communities pretty heavily is the school systems. So we work for school systems all over the northern part of the state of New Jersey. We operate their water systems, their wastewater systems. We do a lot of their permitting and compliance work, and we ensure that the water that the kids drink is clean. We go out and do the sampling to ensure that it's not contaminated. And we also treat the wastewater that's being generated at a lot of these facilities as well before it gets discharged to the environment. So we are supporting the local community through supporting the boards of education and the local school systems.
All About Bugs Tennessee Pest and Termite Control is all about family too. Our family-owned business has successfully been in operation in Sevierville and surrounding areas for almost a decade. Especially during these times, a pest-free home is necessary for a sustainable, disease-free home or business. Our services include residential, rental, commercial, hotel, motel, cabins, you name it. Free quotes and inspections for new customers, and most of our services are contract-free. Our All About Bugs Tennessee family is devoted to delivering the best possible pest control service with a friendly smile. Contact us at 865-453-5574 today.
If it's bugging you, you should be bugging us.
And here comes Milo, big run out of 4. He's going to be there.
Tristan Martin's there. Cannot count after 37.
Oh!
The ball gets burned!
Cabot, where did he come from?
Here
comes Slack.
A punch from the 33.
It's a drag race.
The Magic Man wins it Auto Club.
Back here live on V-Speed. Chapman Environmental Services Cup Series. Playoff race number 1 at Atlanta. Remembering 343. Presented by the Blue Ridge Volunteer Fire Department. We don't know who won yet. We're still not quite sure on the results.
It is still under review from the league admins.
So this is the first for me. I've always known who won the race. It's always been clear whether there was a green white checker incident or not, who had won the race. But at this point in time, where the caution came out versus who was leading, we're not quite sure. It's under review. We also did have the 29 run out of fuel on that last pace lap, so not sure where he gets scored as well. He could be the winner, could not be in the top 10. It's very hard to say. Where does Tate McDonald finish? We're going to find out here as soon as we can. But until then, we're going to put you back in touch with the sponsors of the league. We appreciate every single one of them. Chapman, Buttkicker, All About Bugs, V-Speed. If you've enjoyed what you've seen so far, don't forget to like and subscribe. I've been Morgan Cook, Alex Gagnon beside me, as always, this season. Check us out on Twitter or X, whatever you call it, at VSpeedSim, or check out vspeedsim.com. Get your stuff today, but we got tons of racing action here on the channel. And if you found us already, you might as well stick around for a while. Like and subscribe, hit the bell icon, do everything you got to do to stay in touch with us. It's up in the chat.
They can't leave yet. We're still waiting to hear official word
Oh,
on
I'm
who
not
won,
telling you to go
so-
away. I'm just saying you better stick around a little while longer. But we'll be back here in a few minutes with hopefully your final results once the admin team's able to sort it out here. The this Racing Revolution admin team working very hard to get this result figured out for us. But we'll be back in just a few minutes. See you then.
So Chapman's been around for 32, almost 33 years. You know, it's a great company. We've built it from 10 people not all that long ago to 32 people today. We continue to grow. We're hiring people all the time. If there's one thing that I could do, like before my time is up at Chapman, it is making sure that we've built a company that will stand the test of time. And my goal as the current owner of the company, or one of the owners of the company, is to ensure that we can pass the ownership of the organization on to the next generation of people coming up the ranks today. One area of our business where we impact the local communities pretty heavily is the school systems. So we work for school systems all over the northern part of the state of New Jersey. We operate their water systems, their wastewater systems. We do a lot of their permitting and compliance work, and we ensure that the water that the kids drink is clean. We go out and do the sampling to ensure that it's not contaminated. And we also treat the wastewater that's being generated at a lot of these facilities as well before it gets discharged to the environment. So we are supporting the local community through supporting the boards of education and the local school systems.
All About Bugs Tennessee Pest and Termite Control is all about family too. Our family-owned business has successfully been in operation in Sevierville and surrounding areas for almost a decade. Especially during these times, a pest-free home is necessary for a sustainable, disease-free home or business. Our services include residential, rental, commercial, hotel, motel, cabins, you name it. Free quotes and inspections for new customers, and most of our services are contract-free. Our All About Bugs Tennessee family is devoted to delivering the best possible pest control service with a friendly smile. Contact us at 865-453-5574 today.
If it's bugging you, you should be bugging us.
We are back here on V-Speed. Still do not have official race results for you from the Chapman Environmental Services Cup Series, presented by Racing Revolution. The Remember 343, presented by the Blue Ridge Volunteer Fire Department. Appreciate everyone for sticking around here on V-Speed. We're going to figure this out. But in the meantime, we're going to chat with some of the drivers left in the channel, regardless if they may have finished in the top 3 or not, simply to get a perspective of what this race was like. First driver up, I think we should go have a chat. Well, he is still here. Carter Linz in OMT Racing. Let's have a chat with the driver of the 66, see what he has to say. Carter Linz, it's Morgan and Alex up in the V-Speed booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, we're in a bit of a holding pattern here, so we figure out what the results are for this race here at Atlanta, but it was an interesting one for you, the driver of the 66. You were up in the front. You had an issue late on that last lap. Why don't you just kind of walk us through your race here tonight, and let's see what Carter Linz has to say.
Oh, basically, man, it's kind of like what Bubba Wallace said at that last Daytona race. Bring a car that you know is going to get wrecked. It's anything at super speedways is going to happen, and to be honest, you just pray to hold on to all the way to the last couple laps of the race, and hopefully it all goes well. Kind of had a letdown there in qualifying. Knew I had a bad position there at the start. Basically, yeah, from there I was just trying to hold on, make it clean to the end. Made a bad judgment going in the tri-oval, the quad oval. made a lane change pretty late and kind of nicked the wall. Didn't do too much harm to my car, but able to hang on, make it to the end, and still didn't get the finish I quite wanted, but still got next week.
That's right. So as a playoff driver, this result probably frustrating. I'm not exactly sure where you
Yeah.
finished, but I'm seeing unofficially 21st. There'll be changes to that, obviously, but not exactly what you were looking for. Can you rebound? How do you rebound next week at the road course at Watkins Glen?
I like to think I'm decent at road courses. I haven't seen really much what this group of guys can do at the Glen, but I know there's a lot of other good competitors road racing. I've had great start at Coda. Unfortunately, a event happened there, and
You can say it's a commentator curse. You can say it.
oh, no, it was before that. It was before that. But same thing at Sonoma. Had another great start there, qualifying, and got taken out lap 1. Everything was all addressed there. We're all good. It happens, but I'm hoping I can have a good performance at the Glen next week and try to ride the playoffs as long as I can. I know I'm not Jeremy or Rob out there, but I'm gonna fight for everything I can.
Yeah, that's only 2 of the top 4 that you just mentioned there, so you could potentially get there as a 3 or 4 seed or a 1 or 2 seed, depending on how their end of the seasons go for those 2 drivers. But it was a eventful race for the 66 of Carter Lynn's. Where can we expect to see you next on the racetrack?
Another league would be Tuesday night. Truck Series, QSR. Otherwise, next time you'll see me next Wednesday right here.
Right on. Well, who do you want to shout out? I know it probably wasn't the race that you wanted, but regardless, you're up here in the V-Speed booth. You have the floor is yours. Who do you want to shout out?
I know friends, family. I know parents probably aren't watching. They're on a little vacation trip right now. My girlfriend Sarah. Other friends, family. I know there's a whole bunch of support of me doing this out there, and yeah, I'll keep it short and sweet for you guys. Try to keep the comms clear to get that results figured out for you guys.
All good. We'll get it when we get it. You know how it is. But
Yep.
anyway, good run today, Carter, and we'll see you next week.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
At Watkins Glen.
Yeah, thank you.
You bet. All right, that is Carter Lynn's driver of the 66, unofficially scored in the 21st position. Well, who do you want to chat with next? There's a number of potential drivers. I see Daniel Holloway, Jacob Sirkovich, Trevor Keith.
All sorts of
many.
fun names still in the chat here, trying to see who might be a good fit to pull in. How about we talk to the driver of the 21, who was up at the front for a good bit of today?
Let's have a chat with the Candyman, Daniel Holloway. Morgan and Alex up in the booth. You got a copy.
Oh my gosh. Hi, guys.
Hello. We're unofficially seeing you in the 8th position. Not exactly sure where you're sorted out, of course. That's why we're under this kind of delay right now. But since we had the opportunity, we figured we'd bring up some drivers we don't normally get a chance to speak to, you being one of them. Has not been a terribly strong season for the 21, unfortunately. Missed the cut line by just a few there at Darlington last week. But what do we have in store over these next 9 races to get some momentum back for the 21?
Well, going for team points and stuff like that. So that's still the goal. Pretty much just finishing the best I can each race, and I kind of don't have really anything to lose. So I'm gonna try to steal a win from these playoff guys and say, hey, I should have been in the playoffs. It was a fun race tonight. Led quite a few laps and felt good up front, and I think I started from 19th and worked myself up there. So it's been a fun night.
Yeah, that 21 looked pretty good ripping the high line until all 3 Element X drivers turned left on you and left you out to dry. And then, yeah, you kind of fell through the field there. But how hard is it when you're leading the pack like that, leading a line that's so much farther ahead than the bottom line, to be able to avoid that situation and defend that inside move?
It's when you got those 3 teammates, about 3 or 4 cars, and you're just a sitting duck, so nothing really. And if you try to do a block, then you're just pretty much, either you're in the wreck or you caused a big wreck, and it's just easy just to fall back in. Plus, when I was leading out there, I needed them to get by and save a little bit of fuel on that first green flag pits, and actually, I can't believe I saved one more lap because when I went in that pits, I was like 0.1 and about to start spitting. So it was luck on my side a little bit. So, but it's hard. Nothing you can do about that. So it's just a matter of time when they were doing it. So, but that high line was just so fast tonight. And I think it was Caleb that was behind me, just hit me in the bumper at the right places and stuff. Car just felt awesome up front in the pack, just biding my time, and got a little bit of scratch. Somebody decided to take a little bit of Hershey Kisses in the rear end, but I guess they were a little bit hungry at the end.
That is going to happen when you have a paint scheme that looks as good as yours. But I think Alex is caught up with. He's got a question or two for you.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, the season itself maybe has not been what you've wanted it to be, but you have been competitive at the majority of the races so far this year, I'd say. And we've seen you up toward the front a good bit of times. What do you think is going to be what kind of track do you think will fit you the best to get over that hurdle and get win number 1 this season if it's coming this year? What do you think the circumstances will have to be?
Fuel strategy is for one. Short tracks, I would say Martinsville. I'm always been good. I think when I came in last year, I know you guys wasn't here last year, but at Martinsville, I surprised myself, got the pole, led half the race, and stayed up front most of that night. Super Speedway has always been my strong point. Been there like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago at Daytona. I had a shot right there, but saved that baby. I don't know how I saved that one when I got tagged in that right rear and still kept it straight. Road courses is not my strong point, so it's mile halves and super speedways. I'm pretty good.
All right. Well, hopefully we do get to see that for the end of the season here. It's fun to watch that 21 make its way up to the front of the field, and hopefully something falls your way here in the final 9 races to be able to close one off.
Oh yeah, for sure. That'd be a great start for next season. It'll be a different paint scheme too, so I'll be going back to my original with the ribbon Hershey Kisses that Kevin Harvick drove way back when. So yeah, back to the old paint scheme that I've won championships with in different leagues with that paint scheme, and that's what stuck with me. So ready to get back to that one. And I just got to thank BD teammates, Justice, Trevor, Jacob, a lot of time and help during practices as far as off and on, and proved a lot, but I still got a lot more to prove too. So, but I'm getting close. Some tracks I feel like I'm just itching right there to get that first one.
Well, hopefully the time is soon for you and the 21 team. But Daniel, thank you so much for joining us up here in the booth tonight. It was a pleasure to speak with you. Unofficially P8, but in reality, we're still waiting to hear.
Yeah, thank you guys. Yeah, I know top 10 at least for sure for tonight. So who knows where we're at. I love the mystery, like we're in a suspense movie right now. So we're waiting for the final verdict, who died, who didn't.
Well, until then, Daniel, thanks for joining us, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys, and you guys do an awesome job in the booth too. And I like to thank all those fans, families that all watch out there too, and all these drivers that come in here every week and try to put a great show for everybody.
All righty. Well, hey, thank you so much.
That is
And that
unofficially. Sorry, your 8th place driver unofficially, Mr. Candyman himself, Daniel Holloway. But we're still under a holding pattern. No official updates quite yet. Like maybe we roll some more commercials
quite the
here.
extensive review here.
This is, well, I mean, you got to go through the whole field, right? That's the hard part of
Yeah.
being an admin is you're doing this on the fly, trying to figure out when did the caution come out, what's the rule, where do you freeze the field, and the added wrinkle, the complication is the 29, Tay McDonald ran out of fuel as well. So he lost some spots he probably should have been able to keep. Is the field frozen? Is it the start-finish line? Is it a timing loop? Where is it? It gets very curious very quickly. Who's involved in the accident? Who's not? That's another question. Yeah, this is a very difficult decision to make for these admins, so I understand. I'm not envious by any stretch. and they are doing the best job that they can. But we're going to go back on commercial here. Once again, you can hear from the great partners here. Chapman Environmental Services Cup Series. Been a phenomenal season. Race one of the playoffs, not yet decided. The race is over, but the results have not quite been tallied to this point. Remember, 343 presented by the Blue Ridge Volunteer Fire Company out of Virginia. Thank you for everything that you do. We'll be back right after this, hopefully for the final commercial break of the day, but who knows? It's a difficult task, of course, figuring out the results of these races. Be back soon.
So Chapman's been around for 32, almost 33 years. It's a great company. We've built it from 10 people not all that long ago to 32 people today. We continue to grow. We're hiring people all the time. If there's one thing that I could do, like before my time is up at Chapman, it is making sure that we've built a company that will stand the test of time. And my goal as the current owner of the company, or one of the owners of the company, is to ensure that we can pass the ownership of the organization on to the next generation of people coming up the ranks today. One area of our business where we impact the local communities pretty heavily is the school systems. So we work for school systems all over the northern part of the state of New Jersey. We operate their water systems, their wastewater systems. We do a lot of their permitting and compliance work, and we ensure that the water that the kids drink is clean. We go out and do the sampling to ensure that it's not contaminated. And we also treat the wastewater that's being generated at a lot of these facilities as well before it gets discharged to the environment. So we are supporting the local community through supporting the boards of education and the local school systems.
All About Bugs Tennessee Pest and Termite Control is all about family too. Our family-owned business has successfully been in operation in Sevierville and surrounding areas for almost a decade. Especially during these times, a pest-free home is necessary for a sustainable, disease-free home or business. Our services include residential, rental, commercial, hotel, motel, cabins, you name it. Free quotes and inspections for new customers, and most of our services are contract-free. Our All About Bugs Tennessee family is devoted to delivering the best possible pest control service with a friendly smile. Contact us at 865-453-5574 today.
If it's bugging you, you should be bugging us.
Back here on V-Speed, Chapman Environmental Services Cup Series. Still no official word. What we're going to do is we're going to roll back the last two green-white checkers as they happened. See if you can be entertained for a second time here. It was a thrilling finish to this race. We're going to go back here live from, or not live, on a replay, sorry, from the green flag of the first green-white checker. All the way from the restart zone. Coming right at you here in a few moments. So again, we had Burns in the 54 in the front row.
And this first green-white checker, you really thought McDonald was going to have a run here to the inside. He gets around Burns, and then everything vans out three wide here. You'll actually see Gilbert into the wall, everyone next behind him. So this is the first green-white checker that had the big one at Atlanta. Basically everyone not running top five. Started with Caleb Gilbert getting hit out of line, Picklesheimer also getting bounced around in there, and then everyone behind him checking up, bouncing around. That was the first of two attempts at the green-white checker tonight.
And now we sit through the pace laps. I think there were 2 of them. Remember, this is a replay, so bear with us here if we're a touch off on what exactly happened. No longer have live telemetry because the race is effectively over, simply waiting on results. This is completely uncharted territory for us up here in the V-Speed booth. We're doing our best to fill the time with as much entertaining material as we can. Pretty soon we'll get Alex to start yodeling for us, but hopefully not.
And I don't know if the world is ready for that one, so we'll try and delay that as long as possible.
I don't think we're ready for your yodeling debut. No.
Well, who's to say it's a debut? It might be a return,
Well,
for
hey,
all we know.
How do you know? It's hard to say. But
we have officially reached V-Speed after dark hours here at Racing Revolution, as we obviously the full admin team basically is in a call right now going through the tape. So we're going to let them keep doing their thing as they review the finish of this race. But yeah, I mean, it seemed like for all intents and purposes, that first green-white checkered, the winner was going to come from one of Burns or McDonald, and then everything re-racks up, and in a completely different fashion on the second green-white checkered, the winner is still likely to be either of McDonald or Burns, but under very different circumstances for both.
Yes, still have not had a good shot of who the leader was at the time of caution. It's hard to tell when that caution came out, of course. Very well, it could have been either one of those drivers. It's really quite hard to tell. But hopefully soon we'll have those results. But we're about to relive the final choose. And Dave McDonald's still trying to save fuel here on the replay. Remember, this is not live, ladies and gentlemen.
For everyone who is sticking with us tonight, I want to thank you all for hanging out while we wait on the final results here. Hope all of you are doing well. If you've got any, I guess at this point, if you have any thoughts you want to share, feel free to drop it in chat. At this point, that we're just hanging out until we hear word one way or the other from the R&R admin team here.
I think you had mentioned previously an interesting note that every time Tay McDonald has a legitimate chance at the win, he's running up at the front at the end of a race, there's controversy in the finish. Remember, all the way back to the very first race of the year at Daytona, Tay McDonald crossed the finish line first, but due to a choose cone violation on the final restart, was unable to collect the win. That went, in fact, to Dustin Reinstedel, who, because of extenuating circumstances, is not available for the playoffs, so he gave up his spot, which I believe
went to Kevin Orlando Jr.
Kevin Orlando Jr. because of the win of the 24. I see Jeremy Burns in the waiting room. That means something has happened.
Oh, alrighty. That's the positive sign.
That something's happening.
And this here on screen, folks, is the second attempt and final attempt at the green-white checkered. This is when they were getting ready to go for the last time. McDonald obviously basically coasting around behind the pace car, trying to save as much fuel as possible. Had enough to get to the line when the wreck happened, not necessarily enough to get to the flag a second time. But on the launch, I mean, it looked like McDonald had done everything right here. And then just look at the field, work their way back up to him off of 2.
That's the tough part about getting that big launch here. You almost want the car behind you to go with you or a little before you so you don't have that big fall through the field. This is the white, this is coming to the white flag. No, sorry, this is the checker. I see Tay McDonald's ahead. I'd have to think Tay McDonald's the winner here. I'd have to think.
The only way it would not be the 29 is if he had to match the speed of the pace car this final lap, because you'll see Burns gets right up behind the pace car, and the 29 really lets that thing get away from him. because he is obviously trying to save as much fuel to make sure he can actually get to the line.
We can hear he's chugging, right? Like you can watch the RPM,
Yeah.
they're fluctuating and they're dropping. Right, so I think he runs out here right away. If it ever goes to 2K, actually it'd go probably less than that because it would have no revs because it would be out of fuel. But you can see he's way behind the field right now.
And then Chris Nail also goes on by. Burns is up by the pace car at the line. Then you see the 88 and the 77 go on by, and McDonald just barely coasts to the line here.
And there he is out of fuel. So like
honestly, he's honestly incredibly lucky that caution came out when it did, because he would have gotten run over by the field if there wasn't a wreck and they had to run another lap.
Absolutely he would have, and so that's where the confusion comes from for the folks sitting at home is Tay McDonald may have crossed the line first for the white flag that ended up...
Which would have ended the race under the rules of the green-white checkered.
Right.
But does he still need to then take the checkered at speed?
Right, that's the question is, does the win stay with Tay McDonald or does it go to Jeremy Burns, who finished theoretically second, but was able to continue on because he had fuel in the tank. So that's where we are right now. That's the question we have, and that's the debate that we're going to have probably after the race, regardless what the results are. But yeah, so we're still in a holding pattern. We have Jeremy Burns waiting in the waiting room. We could have a chat with driver of the 9 who may or may not have won the race, although I kind of want to save that for if he did actually win the race or not.
Well, how about before we get to that then, let me pose you a question while we're here for V-Speed After Dark.
Sure.
This is now the 25th race of the Racing Revolution Chapman Environmental Services Cup Series season.
Right.
You have been in the booth for, to my understanding, all of them, or like all of them but one? Like,
Yeah, I missed
full
two.
Season.
Yeah, I missed two.
What has, in your opinion, has been the most entertaining race for you to call in the booth so far? Because, I mean, I've gotten a good amount of these up here with you, but I mean, you've been here basically the full year, so you'd have an even bigger catalog to go through. What has been the most entertaining race you've broadcast so far this season?
I would have to say the most entertaining finish I broadcast this season was definitely Talladega. That 4-wide finish by a fender, that was incredible. If you haven't seen it, go back and find it. Go back and watch it here. It's in the playlist here on V-Speed's YouTube. Definitely was a great finish to that race. You were on the call for that one as well, if I'm not mistaken. Best race throughout, this one was up there, I would say, which is with how solid the racing was throughout the entire event. If I recall correctly, the what we would call the Coke 600, but I think it was Chapman Environmental 300, Chapman Environmental Services 300. Sorry, that was a great race as well.
Yeah, just from start to finish, a very entertaining one.
Darlington last week was a great race throughout. I mean, we had a quite an interesting strategy at the end there. Remember, we had Forget and the 22 having that epic battle at the end until Travis Gilbert ran out of fuel.
Yeah.
Right there, and recently the races have been phenomenal. I mean, there's so many great moments to pick from throughout the course of the season. Some surprise winners, like I think back to Pocono, right? That was a great fuel mileage win. I think Michigan had a fuel mileage win. No, that was a fuel mileage win, in fact, at Michigan as well.
Mm-hmm.
You were the call on that one with Travis Gilbert again.
An emotional first win of the season for Travis Gilbert on that night.
Home track with the home sponsor for the win that gets you in the playoffs, because he was going to miss the playoffs otherwise. Everything happened exactly how it had to happen for the 22 that day. That was a great finish for that one as well. It's hard to think of any more than that. It's been a great season. I think every one of these races is worth a watch. I think the most impressive moment, if you will, was what's that?
New Hampshire.
That's what I was thinking too. Was Jeremy Burns coming from 4 laps down to win the race at New Hampshire and to spin?
That was wild.
That was pretty crazy stuff. Again, phenomenal racing all season long. Can't thank this series enough for letting us be a part of it. V-Speed all season long, and it's been great. And hopefully you can see more of these guys in the future. All these drivers have been great on the track. and all the different broadcast partners we've had throughout. Alex, yourself, obviously, Mike Noss up in the booth for a while, Logan Threlkel, Bradley Cooper call the race with me and produce, I think, the one or the two that I had missed. So got to thank everyone there. Probably missing people as well. Christian Hill probably has something to do with this at one point in time also. I just thank everyone who's been a part of it all season. It's been a great show. It's been a great time, and I'm glad to have been a part of it. Season's not over. Still 9 races left. But here at Atlanta, we are in a holding pattern, awaiting final results to see who.
Chris Nail is now also in
I
the
see
interview
that.
waiting room. So we've got a couple people getting ready to get queued up.
I see that.
We're still waiting for official word.
That's right. Yeah, still don't have the official word. So this is a bit of an interesting situation for us. Obviously, we've been in a holding pattern here for, I think, the better part of 30 minutes. So I'm not exactly, not exactly sure what to make of this. But again, just got to thank all the sponsors involved. But go ahead, Alex.
Oh, I was gonna say, I mean, if we're looking for stuff to throw on screen here while we're waiting to hear officially, we could always jump back to the moment where Trevor Erhardt got vertical up on top of Jackson McGeorge. That is definitely going to be a moment that sticks with me at the end of this race when it's all said and done. But also, that is simply if we're trying to find other things to throw on screen here, because to be completely honest with folks at home, not too often that we have a race where the race ends and then we're still waiting to hear officially who wins one way or the other. So this is something, as often as we do this, not something you run into every day.
Yeah, and we've mentioned, like, I've been doing this since January, so 9 months now, and I have never had this situation happen in what I would estimate is about 80 or so streams I've been a part of. I've had all sorts of issues, audio issues. I've had ATVO, my timing and scoring, crash on me. I have never had the results under question because of a green-white checker, someone running out of fuel, all that's situation. So it's just it's an interesting, unique situation, and I'm glad that we're able to sort it out. The admin team will work and get this figured out. I am confident of it. But until then, we are just going to have to sit tight and hang out and wait. But what we can do is we can throw the unofficial results on the screen. This, again, not official, but just for...
Cannot stress enough
information.
Unofficial results.
Just for information, just to kind of show what we think is happening, or what has happened on the racetrack, but not necessarily reflected in the final standings. Let's have a look at them right now. Tame McDonald being shown as the winner. You'll notice no Jeremy Burns. Remember, Jeremy Burns passed the 29 when 29 ran out of fuel. So black flag for Burns again. Very much unofficial. So don't quote us on where anyone's going to finish here, but this is what we have at the moment. So Thorpe, Orlando, Turner, Hicklesheimer, Gilbert, Murphy, Holloway, Sirkovich, and Forget. Your unofficial, can't stress that enough, top 10.
Then you get back to P11 here, Joe Goya, Travis Gilbert, the pole sitter, Michael Call, Matt Robinson, Al Likens, Kyle Diaz, Devin Hudgens, Trevor Keith, Jesse Loveland, Trevor Erhardt, tentatively speaking, the top 20.
21st through 30th looks like this. Carter Linz, we talked to him already. Chris Nail currently sitting in the waiting room. I believe he has a top 3, potentially. I'm not exactly sure what's up with the 88 Burns. Very well could have won the race, could have finished second. Not exactly sure either. Got that 1-lap penalty just because of the way the end of the race transpired. Not quite hitting the checker flag also. Remember, that was only coming to the white when the caution came out. Parker Johnston with the T. A lot of damage on that 48. Can end up finishing unofficially somewhere in the 20s. Nick Alves, Resnock, Richardson, Harrison, Rader, and Schaefer. Remember, Rader had the connection problem, and that kind of effectively ended his chances of winning. He was in third or so when that connection issue happened early in the race. Last 2 drivers on the grid. These ones are official. Would be McGeorge and Berger. They left early, so they will for sure be the last 2 in the race. But from other than that, it's all up in the air. Not exactly sure where most of these drivers would have finished this race, but it was a great one. I mean, 5 cautions, and the first 100 laps or so pretty much went caution free, save for the stage. 34 lead changes. That's at the start finish line. That does not include the that doesn't include all the other lead changes that happened throughout the racetrack. But still in the holding pattern. This might be an opportunity to grab another driver and have a chat with them. I see some drivers who are not in the big chat. Maybe Parker Johnston, Caleb Gilbert, Trevor Keith, one of those drivers. Let's go see if they want to have a chat with us here in the V-Speed booth.
Absolutely. Which of the three would you like to chat with first? All three of them have had very different but very interesting
That's right.
days.
Surprise
them
me.
playoff
Why don't you
drivers.
go? Why don't you go grab one and
All right.
we'll just have a chat with those
All right, let's
drivers.
see if we can talk to the driver of the 15 here, Trevor Keith.
All right, Trevor Keith. Let's have a chat with him. Let's get it all set up from this side of things.
Right.
Trevor Keith, Morgan and Alex up in the booth. You got a copy?
I do.
So, what do you make of all this trying to figure out the results situation here?
I mean, it doesn't really affect me a whole lot. I finished 18th to 25th, somewhere around there. So it is what it is. At that point, had a bad race. Nothing really I could have done. Just people not being able to check up for stuff kind of sucks. Happened to me twice. But, I mean, we're already on to Watkins Glen. I'm literally doing that right now. So I'm practicing for Watkins Glen. So we've moved on. And
boy, your plane must get from Atlanta to New York pretty fast.
we were in the jet as soon as the caution came out for the second green white checkered.
That's funny. So it's if I remember back earlier in the season, Sonoma was kind of the start of your hot streak that ran throughout the summer months.
Oh yeah.
Chicago was part of that hot streak. These both road courses, obviously. I imagine the confidence pretty high going into Watkins Glen.
Yeah, we're gonna have a really good day. I wish I could say I had something for Jeremy. I'm not really sure. Just got new pedals, so still breaking them in.
Hopefully that's a pun and not literal.
I don't. Oh, yeah, now I get it.
Yeah, good. Okay.
I was blanking. Sorry.
Life moves fast here at V Speed After Dark.
Sorry, for those of you who are unaware, you could probably tell the story to TK. What happened to your pedals last week at Darlington?
Yeah, so we were in practice, and I'm going into turn 3, start to brake, and I just hear, ooh, and they just snapped. The little bar in the back broke on me, and I had to just jerry rig something together, and just so I could brake, because I can't go out there with no brakes. And yeah, he kind of rode in the back, and what happens when you ride in the back is you get right. So it was tough, but
yeah, Darlington's not the place where we want to have an equipment failure. If that was
no,
one track,
it's not. That's the last place. I'd rather my brakes broke tonight than last week. So.
Absolutely. Well, here, I mean, no brakes tonight. You getting to pit road would be tough, but that's about it. Everything else you'd be able to make it work. You could use the wall to slow you down even if you had to.
Sitting on the green would have sucked, but
yeah, for sure,
it would have been better than Darlington.
That's right. Darlington's about the worst place you can have a brake failure at. But it was a great race from our point of view. Obviously, yours a little bit different, being in the car, having some issues, some cautions and things. You had a really crazy moment with, I think it was Forget behind you and Loveland to the inside. Why don't you just talk about that a little bit? Because that was one of the better saves we saw today.
It happened to me twice. The first time Alex got into the back of me, just there's huge checkups at Atlanta, and sometimes some people just a little late on them. Alex was a little late on it there. I'm not too upset. I mean, it's just Atlanta. That's what happens at Atlanta. I mean, it sucks, but the first one, I thought I was done. I thought I was wrecking for sure, and I got sideways from the apron, and I would look back, and the wheel was left and right. I still don't know how I saved that one, I'll be honest with you. Downshifted to 4th real quick, and it came back straight, and I was like, let's go. The second one wasn't too bad. I got when Loveland hit me, it just sent me into the grass, and from there it was just making sure I didn't come back and wreck the whole field. The crazy part was it wasn't even that big of a contact, and it gave me a meatball.
Oh,
So I had a pit under green there by myself. That's what really screwed me. I have no idea how that was a meatball, but it was.
it must have caught you right in the wheel. For those fans at home that don't know what a meatball flag is, that is the black flag with the orange circle in the middle, meaning too much damage to continue. Now, iRacing specific, they don't have that in real life.
Yeah.
But when you get a meatball, what, 3 laps to serve that pit
3
stop and
laps.
get it fixed?
I stayed out for 2, I think, just to be safe. Was hoping we get a caution, but it didn't happen. So I pit, quickly used my fast repair. Obviously, I'm not gonna wait for damage under green like that. So I used the fast repair and went back out there. Ended up staying on this lead lap somehow though. When that caution came out
Yeah.
before the green white checkers, I don't know how I stayed on the lead lap. That was wild because I rode by myself for a long while.
Yeah, just it was definitely weird. I mean, there was some lap cars racing the leaders as well. We saw at different points in this race, and kind of been a theme of the week here on V Speed. Interesting kind of racing that way on the super speedways, but
Yeah.
yeah, just kind of just a wild race. I think. I mean, the first I think it was like 80 to 100 laps went green, save for the stage.
Yeah.
And I mean, the racing was phenomenal, 2 wide all the way throughout the field, and then at the end it got a little crazy. I mean, you can't lift here trying to get to the front. Get those points
It's
for the
It's so
playoffs.
hard to get to the front when you're in the back too there at Atlanta, because it's not like Daytona and Talladega. You form a third line, you can make some moves. I mean, you're just kind of stuck,
Right.
hoping your line gains a little momentum and you can, you know, cut in front of somebody in the other line. And then it's hard to get up front from the back here. It's really hard to pass.
We think we have. Do we have an official word here?
Do
Oh,
we?
hold on. We do not have official word. Sorry, I just saw in chat
You're not.
we're talking about a potential winner, not an official winner. Apologies for that, TK. But
Interested to see who gets the win here.
yeah, I am too. I mean, we watched the replay back a couple times. Tay clearly leading at the finish line, but that was not the final lap, right? That was not the checker. That was that was coming to the white flag. Does the field get frozen? Is it a timing loop thing? Running out of gas is a problem. Obviously a lot of questions up here in the V Speed booth, and I think in the admin booth as well. A lot of drivers puzzled as well, as you had mentioned earlier. This is unprecedented, I would have to say. But
and I still don't know where. If Iris said 18th, but I think
Right.
it's 20th. I'm not. I mean, I don't know, but I
Right.
just know it wasn't good enough. So I'm not really worried about it.
Right.
But whatever happens from here.
Yeah, for sure. Who do you want to thank, shout out for the race tonight? And what are we looking forward to here over the next 9?
We're gonna shout out KSX Racing Graphics. Make all the paint schemes. Make the paint schemes for the 12, the 41, the 18. A couple others have one that they run part time, like the 22 ran a KSX scheme tonight. The 29 runs one every once in a while. We thank all the league sponsors: Chapman Environmental Services, Coastal Financial, Ultimate Gutters, Ultimate Lighting now. Sorry,
Ultimate exterior lighting. Yep.
Exterior lighting, yes. And then All About Bugs, Slurp Sodas.
Coastal
Who
Financial.
sponsored the race tonight?
This was the Remember
It was a different
343.
one.
Yeah, Remember 343 by the Blue Ridge Fire Department.
Oh, gotcha. Yep.
Yes.
The Blue Ridge Fire Department as well for
Yes.
coming on for this race. Still pretty exciting. I'm sure. I mean, we're still waiting to see who won. So
Yes.
But and thank all my teammates. Jacob, Daniel, and Justice. Jacob and Daniel still willing to work with us, even though they didn't make the playoffs. Still sticking around, trying to get us, the team, trying to win the team points. So we'll just, and I'm sure we'll all work together here this week for Watkins Glen. And you guys as well. Thank you guys. You guys always do a great job up here.
Right on. I probably would. I would skip a fair bit of this last hour or so of the broadcast, and we've just kind of been in a holding
I
pattern
don't know.
here, but,
V-Speed After Dark has its own charm.
it does have its own charm. That's for sure. It's
Funny thing is,
a
like,
lot of interviews out here. Last little while, a lot of
It-
commercials.
it's probably why I don't do commentating races. I don't like to listen to myself,
Sure.
so I usually skip my own interviews. It's crazy enough. So like, because I
I'm-
just it's nothing against you guys. I just don't like to listen to myself for some reason.
I'm very much the opposite. I don't know why I love the sound of my own voice so much. Probably why I became a broadcaster, but I
Yeah.
go back and watch as
Definitely
many as I
doesn't hurt.
can, and all of us should go back and watch these VC broadcasts. We were talking about. Actually, here's a good question for you, TK. Before we let you go, favorite moment of the season?
I mean, it's got to be Iowa.
Right.
The first win with RR. It's taken me a long time to win against these guys. I mean, kind of fell in my lap there. Almost gave it away. Hit the wall. Just a crazy night overall. Made a bad pit stop. Or pit strategy. Thought I took myself out of contention, but I didn't. And that was definitely my favorite moment so far this year. Trying to capture that magic again, though.
Right on. Well, good luck with that over the next 9 races in the playoffs. Have a chance at that championship. But good luck for Trevor Keith in the 15 machine. KSX Racing graphics
Appreciate
on the
it.
hood and all over that car.
All over it.
All over it. All over it. Awesome. Well, chat with you next week, and good luck for the final 9.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
You bet. All right, that was Trevor Keith for our, we could call this a rain delay, potentially. Not exactly sure what this would equate to in real life. This is such an interesting situation.
Well,
we're
it's
still-
interesting. There was the comment in chat of it. It's reminiscent a bit of the original first Daytona 500, where they needed till the next morning to confirm the results of
3
it.
days.
So maybe a little bit like that, but to that degree, not too often you have that in the virtual world, especially with live timing and scoring.
Absolutely right on that. This is, just such a, I don't know, like I can't explain enough just how different this is, how odd this is to have this situation happen. But we're going to stick around and we'll see what we can find out. We're not going anywhere, and you shouldn't either. We'll have more interviews here with drivers and see what kind of information we can glean from this race. We do have people in the waiting room, although I don't believe that is our top 3.
No, I don't think so either. We have a couple of contenders for, but I had imagined they've been sitting here for a minute if we want to pull one of them in.
Yeah, let's go have a chat with one of these drivers. Take your pick.
Well, the 9 has been there the longest, but he also may or may not be the race winner, so I don't know if you want to hold off on that one until we hear one way or the other or not.
We could talk to Jeremy and then maybe bring him back in later if the situation arises.
Alrighty, well, if that's the case, we will pull in.
Just
the
saw a message in
9
the
of
Discord chat,
Jeremy.
least controversial plate finish. I would agree with that. Isn't that the truth? No controversy whatsoever here. All right.
Nope.
Okay. Jeremy
So
Burns.
here he is in the booth.
Morgan and Alex up in the booth. You got a copy.
Yeah, I'm dozing off here, guys.
Yeah. Well, we're doing our best to keep this thing rolling. It's been a while. Yeah, like I say, we're about, I think, 45 or so minutes into this little extra added time, little bonus time. Got a message here.
Joining for a little V-Speed After Dark there, Jeremy. If nothing else, while we don't know the end of the race, we can talk about the start and the middle part of it, which it looked like you and the Element X guys were really dialed in from the drop of the green flag tonight. It seemed like you guys were constantly up at the front of the field. Was this a track that you guys worked on a lot together, or did everyone just kind of find their way up to the front?
I mean, it all started with qualifying. We all qualified within the top 12, so we were all kind of up there to begin with, and we had a lot of practice once we got into the session. So, but once we got into it, we knew that the outside lane was just kind of the way to go, especially on the long run. The inside lane just seemed to struggle a lot getting the runs out of the corner. So that's kind of how we got to the stage and got really good points there for the stage, and then we continued that. After the stage, we actually came out 1, 2, 3 there, after the stage, Pier Road. So just getting hooked up and keeping together one one after the other, and unfortunately, a couple of them got caught up later in the race. But yeah, I just see it at this point where I'm focused on this finish to see where we all came out, because it's either first, second, or 23rd.
Which is such a the fact that that sentence even makes sense in the context of this race, I think, is insane. But
Yeah, that about sums the
that's
race
one
up
of those wins.
entirely, though,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
really.
First, second, or 23rd. That's kind of how Atlanta is, right? You just run and hope that things work out. Hope that the caution doesn't come out at a bad time. That you're not in the caution. We saw a lot of green flag racing tonight, mixed with a few cautions at the very end there. But yeah, it was such an interesting event. I think I keep saying that over and over again. Just something that I've never experienced, and you're one time in the booth on Monday you never experienced, with a controversial result where you don't exactly know who got the win, who got the second, et cetera, et cetera. But we're thinking you're potentially second here tonight, but also first or 23rd or whatever have you. But just kind of talk us through the race a little bit. The green flag pit stops, racing against other drivers, and got shuffled back a little bit up to the front. Just kind of walk us through how your night went as a whole.
Well, that first green flag run and pit stop, like the run was great, but we get to the pit stop, and I almost killed the car because Caleb ran to the back of Travis Gilbert, and he's sideways on the apron, and I just see the right rear of his car, and I actually hit it. But fortunately, it didn't give me too much damage. These next gen bodies take damage a lot better and take hits a lot better. But I felt like we got on and off the pit road very nicely, very efficient, especially there at the end. We put ourselves into a position where we actually had the team lined up for a pretty decent amount, and I felt like we were in a good position no matter if we got the caution or not. But I ran out there on that last lap, but I was able to keep enough fuel in it, just enough to have more than Tay to catch the pace car. But once you get in those instances of the green-white checkers, you've made your bed and you have to lie in it. And I only had like a lap and a half of fuel coming to 2 to go there on that last restart. So I was banking on a caution, and we got it. And I was able to coast it across the line. And actually, Chris Nail had to push me back, back to the line to take a preliminary photo, I guess, because, well, like I said, we don't know who the winner is and what the results are going to look like. But just in case, I went ahead and parked that thing right there at the start finish.
Yeah, definitely was a good race for the 9. Good race for the 53 too, until the connection issue, and then the 54. Assuming the results are sort of correct, which they very well could be, looking like 6th place for Caleb Gilbert here tonight. Could be higher, could be lower, not exactly sure. But he was involved in that big crash that happened on the front stretch. He got. I'm trying to remember exactly what happened there. I think he just got hooked a little bit into somebody, and then kind of had to stop in front of the middle lane, which Nick Alves plowed right into the back of him and wrecked a good number of cars. But was able to rebound from that with the fast repair, of course, and bring it back, which is good news for the 54. But yeah, it was, again, just a great race until obviously this issue with the timing and scoring here at the end of the race. Not exactly sure who the winner is, what the finishing order is, but I mean, fun to watch you out there tonight, Jeremy. And we'll probably have you up here again, depending on what the final results are. But just give us who you want to thank for this race, and we'll bring you back here in a bit.
Yeah, preliminary. I just want to shout out the admins because they've been working hard here in their chat to get it right the first time. That way, they're not going back and saying, "Oh, never mind, never mind." Getting it done right the first time is definitely the way to go about this, no matter how much time it takes. So, I gotta give a huge shout out to them and their dedication to the league. Huge shout out to Blue Ridge Volunteer Fire Department for coming out and supporting this on 9/11, 23 years ago today. We remember 343 of those first responders that unfortunately lost their life. So huge shout out to them for coming out and supporting the league and being able to honor those. And I mean, just the normal list: my mom, my dad, Josie, Dylan, Coach P, Sonny, my grandma, Miss Betsy, Julie, Derek, Caroline, Sham, Belinda, Betty, Element X. Like I said, great run tonight for them. Chapman Environmental for being on the hood. The other sponsors of the league, Buttkicker, Coast Financial, Ultimate Exterior Lighting, Erhardt Homes, all about bugs, and especially you guys up here at V Speed for being able to cover the time here and kind of go over everything that's been with this finish. But yeah, I think that's all my shout outs.
Right on. Thank you, Jeremy. We have a special guest up in the booth here. Nick Alves has joined us. What do you got for us, Nick?
Hey guys, what's going on? So as of right now, the results are going to remain unofficial. The admin team is going to have to take a little bit of time here to sort some things out before we actually deem who the true finishing order is here.
Understood. Understood. Do you have? Is this? Should we continue on with the show? Should we call the show? How do you want to deal with this?
We should probably call the show. I don't want to have you guys sitting here waiting for an answer from us for too long.
All good. Well, that is your answer, ladies and gentlemen. This one is going to remain a mystery for a little while longer. Thank you to the admin team for being working so diligently on this and getting us as much information as they possibly can. We appreciate every single one of them for doing what they do here for the Chapman Environmental Services Cup Series. It's been, like I say, a great race here at Atlanta. Go back and watch it. It was phenomenal from start to finish. And I can't say enough about everyone involved in this one. Alex as well. Get Jeremy out of the booth here. There we go. Get Jeremy out.
Get him out of here.
Get him out of here. All right. You've been watching the Chapman Environmental Services Cup Series, presented by Racing Revolution. The Remember 343, presented by the Blue Ridge Volunteer Fire Department here at Atlanta. We never did show you the schedule earlier, but next week, 1 week from today, September 18th, the Chapman Environmental Services Cup Series travels to Watkins Glen in upstate New York for the second race of the round of 16 at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on V-Speed as we bring you flag-to-flag coverage all season long. If you enjoyed what you saw tonight, including all of the fun banter we've had up here with various drivers throughout the last hour or so of waiting, please like and subscribe. Hit the notification button so you don't miss a moment of the action. We have races all week long. You'll never be disappointed with what you see here on V-Speed. I can pretty much guarantee that, but you found us. Might as well stick around a while. It's been a phenomenal season here at Racing Revolution, and I don't see why that would not continue for the final 9 races of the year. But for everyone here at V-Speed, Adam Baker, Eddie Smith, Bradley Cooper, and of course my co-commentator, Alex Gagnon, I've been Morgan Cook. Have a great evening. Thank you, and good night. We'll catch you next week.